Hey guys, welcome to this new little thing I want to do because now we have a bunch of Avatar stuff coming back to us every month. I want to just do like a little hangout, just talk to you guys, talk to some other Avatubers just about Avatar stuff. And this month was actually pretty huge. I don't even know how we're gonna go through. I guess we should talk about the biggest thing, right? It's rumored right now, not like official from Avatar Studios, but rumored that Mr. Chris. Hold on, let me get Chris in real quick. That we are supposed to be getting an Earth Avatar in 2025, the same year we're getting the Aang movie. What was everybody's reactions when you heard that from Avatar News that they're reporting that we are getting a new Earth Avatar, and that's supposed to potentially be 100 years after Korra's period?
I was just glad that.
First, I should introduce you to everybody. My bad. First off, before we even get into that, my bad, guys. I think most of you people here know who these guys are, but just in case, Morgan, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Morgan. Airspeed Prime. Airspeed Prime's the name of my channel. I do Avatar content, mainly focused on sort of like detailed lore, but I also do like news coverage of basically everything. That's probably the basic introduction.
And then Fran, introduce yourself.
Yeah. Hi, I am. Why did I do an accent? Oh my god.
I'm Fran.
I'm Fran. I am from the channel A Healthy Dose of Fran. I admit I have not done Avatar in a hot minute, but I will hopefully be getting back to it at some point this year. But yeah, I'm the Legend of Korra Defender. Hi.
Oh yeah, that's
I too
constantly do, right?
Yeah, I too am a Korra Defender.
Yeah,
thank you.
All the Korra fans.
Yeah, I'm Chris Ford, aka The Objective Geek. Got a YouTube channel, also co-host of Avatar: The Last Podcasters, where we cover episode reviews, news, discussions, random things, and everything. So very nice to meet you all. I've met Fran. I've had Fran on a video before, probably one of my favorite videos ever, going over the LGBTQIA history and Legend of Korra, which has just expanded a lot since that video. That was before the Kyoshi novels. Right. And I follow Morgan all the time. I get so much news from Morgan. And he probably doesn't even know it. Of course he doesn't.
No, he has to know it. He has to know that we love him. Yeah. What was I gonna say about? I think it was I don't know if I have any mods in the chat, but that scam that's in there. If you guys can block that person, that'd be awesome. I don't know if I have because I'm on the StreamYard, so I can't see the real YouTube chat or whatever. But yeah, if I have mods in there, go. You're okay to do stuff like that. But yeah, reactions. What do y'all think when you heard about the potential of having this new Earth Avatar series?
I was thrilled. I'm really excited to see kind of what they're gonna do with this jump in time. I think Avatar News did a timeline of what it's gonna match up to, and it's gonna be early 2000s or something like that, or
Avatar News did a thing where it's it should be in the 2020s if it's approximately our time,
Yeah. And I just think it's gonna be really interesting to see how the technology is gonna improve, what they may be doing for benders, because we've kind of seen benders aren't the infrastructure is built around benders, but it's not always geared towards benders. So I'm just intrigued about how the new technology is going to impact the bender non-bender dynamics, and if that's going to continue from what we saw in book 1 of Korra, because that was interesting and I would love to see more.
For me, so my first reaction was all right, no duh, yeah, that's going to happen. And then my secondary reaction, the Boyz II Men song, "It's So Hard to Say Goodbye," entered my head because I feel like Korra is gone in a way. I know we can still get stuff from her, but when she shows up in this new series, I'm going to have an idea of how her story ends. And that's a little sad. I think there was more room to explore Korra before we get to that series, but I'm excited for anything. Like I said, I would have liked to have seen Korra. I'd like to see an Avatar tackle adult life, balancing your work-life balance, maybe having kids with Asami, things like that. That presents a new challenge rather than they're a teenager, they got to learn the 4 elements type of deal. Maybe we'll still get that. I'm not sure, but I just know Korra's story is coming to an end, and that's it's just a little sad.
Myself, I expected the Avatar after Korra at some point. Maybe not one of the first couple of projects, but I felt they would go there eventually. Just because knowing Mike and Brian, they like to do new stuff, not just do the old stuff. But the whole point of Avatar Studios is that they can do both now, plus all this other stuff as well. So that's why I didn't particularly overreact. I saw some of that online about real freak out over they killed Korra. When it's just we've been through this before. They did it to Aang without really filling the gap between that story. Hence why the first thing is a ATLA movie. So we'll get more Korra content. And I'm interested to see what they do with it going forward. How technologically advanced they go. How they incorporate the spirit world into super technologically advanced stuff. Because that would tell us a lot about what Korra was able to accomplish with the spirits and that sort of stuff.
Yes, when you said
that's part of the reason
about the whole Aang and Korra death thing is everybody. I remember when Korra was coming out, people were like, "No, that means Aang's dead." I'm like, "Yeah, that's how cycles work. Roku had to die too. Yoshi had to die too. Another guy. That's just the nature of it."
So my thing is that I'm cool with Korra dying because she will eventually die. Everyone dies.
Yes.
Well, Avatar's reborn. But the thing is that if Aang's story is any example, I feel like his stories have been post the show have been lacking somewhat because it feels a lot like anime filler, except for the Search. The Search felt like really, really good anime filler, but everything else is just we know where you're going. We know we've built Republic City. There's just there's not as much stakes in there, and they can improve this. Just what they have done so far, I've enjoyed, but I've also been I know where you're going. I know where it's going. It just doesn't feel as high stakes. Even Korra's comics, what I think are probably just as good. I think Ruins of Empire is actually pretty good. But that I'm I don't know where the story's going. I have no idea where it's going. So that's really interesting to me. And now I have some type of sense of where it's going. They can still tell a great story. And I'm really looking forward to the Avatar movie they come out with about Aang and the group. To see exactly what they can do when they're somewhat constricted with a timeline and story coming up.
I have a few things to piggyback on that. So I mean, we like you were saying before, we are having the Korra movie, so that's something that again, it's not. Last time we heard, it's just in development right now, right? It's not been actually officially greenlit in the same way that Aang's movie has. So we do have that still, whatever that might be, whatever story that might, tell. But I think I forget which one of you said this, but I think it was Chris who said he's more interested if we see adult stories, which I agree with as well. Jinju was one of my favorite characters in Rise of Kyoshi, and it was because his storyline was so much more adult to me than it was just about teen romance or just the growing pains of coming up as this new teenage avatar kind of a thing. But it'd be cool if there is some sort of magitech thing that happens where there's a fusion of something that happens like in Final Fantasy games, the fusion of magic with tech, or if it is about balance in the new Avatar's role, whether it's the Earth Avatar overseeing at the tail end of Korra's life, the idea of trying to merge both spirits and tech in some interesting way, I think would be really cool to see. But I do think it still can be interesting, both a Korra movie and an Aang movie, in the same way that one of my favorite shows this year that just ended was called Better Call Saul, which was a prequel to Breaking Bad. And that I actually prefer Better Call Saul to the original, and Better Call Saul is a prequel, and so what happens to these characters, or at least to a majority of the characters. We know that he goes into crime. We know that he doesn't make it out, but the interest in that is the journey of how he got to be that way and seeing the transformation of a character. So I think that's what the intrigue, at least for me, could be for an adult Aang or adult Korra movie. Oh, like in Arcane, that as Ken was saying, which also was really awesome this year as well.
Yeah. I could definitely, that would be really interesting to see, especially if it comes in the comic form, because I definitely think there's more to come from the Korra story, and I think when if obviously because it's not confirmed at the moment, or officially confirmed at least, when this new Avatar story show comes out. Like what we had with the Avatar comics, like the Avatar comics started coming out for Atla as Legend of Korra was airing. Like that additional material was coming out at the same time that the Korra show was coming out. A similar situation could possibly happen with this new New Earth Avatar, showing that we start getting a bit more Korra comics, because like we've not really had that much to do with Korra. Like currently we've still got way more stuff comic wise related to Avatar: The Last Airbender, which obviously that is like the popular one.
I think that spans like over 2 to 3 years right now, right? That's how far out the comics are for the Airbender timeline, right?
Yeah, so I think
15.
Yeah.
And Korra's only been like a year, if that.
Yeah, so but I think they've been over about 2-3 years, but like
because Kuvira coming out of or having her trial, that's only, or I don't know, I remember if there was they talk about like timeline stuff in the Empire.
Oh, that timeline.
So
you meant
I was saying like Korra is, I think it's barely like a few months after the mainland show.
Yeah, the first one, yeah. And I think the Kuvira one is at most maybe a couple of months, I think. I don't think it's really that far off from the end of the show. Whereas, yeah, the Last Airbender one, I think it's at least a couple of years, because like they've got an order at this point in time. I think Aang's like 16 now.
Yeah, Aang's like as tall as Sokka, which is weird.
Yeah, like he's actually having his growth over school, because we know when he's adult, I think he ends up being the tallest out of all of them, right? Even Zuko.
Yeah.
Even taller than Zuko.
Yeah. Definitely.
Someone was talking about a street smart avatar. I mean, I guess we could talk about Genji too, because I think a lot of people didn't realize that Genji was a fan project, or at least I think casual Avatar fans did not realize that Genji was a fan project, and they're like, "No, what happens to Genji?" He's like, "Genji was never a thing. It was just really high."
I know that
production value.
That bugs me a little bit. I'm like, Genji's not canon, people. It's like, they're like, I thought Korra died this way. I'm like, no, it's not canon.
It's a very good fan comic, but not canon.
Yeah, it is high quality. Like the art is very nice.
Yeah, super high.
Yeah. I wasn't going anywhere with that.
We don't know if I just speculated that it'd be cool if we had guns, because in the Mailbenders, because there's this series by Brandon Sanderson. First was Mistborn. I don't know. I guess familiar with Brandon Sanderson and Mistborn at all?
Yeah.
I know that he made I never read the follow-up series, but there is one where there are guns, and then the Allomancy. I forgot what they call those people. Allomancers? Is that what they're called?
Allomancers. Yeah.
Series? Yeah, where they can actually affect metal and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, that's really cool. I mean, the concept, I never read the book, but the concept of that. But no, I don't think there actually is going to be guns. I think they're going to.
I don't think so either.
In the final series.
I think Brian and Mike, they can do a lot with a Y7 rating. Like, they freaking had murder, suicides, and genocide with a Y7 rating. But I think guns will push it to PG-13. And like, even in some cartoons, like, you can't show people firing a gun. I do think there will be like laser guns. Like, maybe people can get on the black market, spirit vines, and then use that in a small capacity, or lightning guns.
Blasters.
I mean, blasters are much more appropriate for Y7 than bullets.
Handheld spirit cannons type things.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that there is this fan comic that like unfortunately didn't get as much attention as Legend of Genji, but it was called Legend of Nico with 2 eyes, and they had something to do that. It was like they used the different technology to do with the spirits to create new technology. Like they had Very phones, which are kind of like basically mobile phones to a degree, that Varric created and got really popular around this period of time, and also kind of sort of like phaser guns, so like Star Trek sort of vibes, made out of spirit weapons. Like, I think that'd be really interesting to kind of see that sort of stuff. It'd be campy, but you know what? Camp is good. Everyone needs camp in their lives.
Well, we're all talking about gun stuff, but the real question is, do we think they're gonna have smartphones?
I don't think we're gonna go that far into the future. Like, so if Korra's timeline is about 1920s, if Korra lived to be about 80, right? That will put then that new Avatar will be born about 1980s
right now,
or 90s.
It should be 100 years after, so it should be 120 is when she dies.
See,
is that the report?
I kind of think that's wrong, but I think people like are calculating wrong because I think it's like how with Cora in this case, like when she's 16, it's 70 years. But when is it? Wait, hold on. Am I wrong?
Well, I mean, the report was approximately 100. It's not actually like a definitive time period. That's not, confirmed at all.
Yeah, I think I'm getting confused.
That it's approximately 100 years after. And also, it's not an exact approximation to our own timeline, because if we did do that, then the Wan timeline wouldn't even function, because there was no human civilization to that degree. You know what I mean? Like in that far back, which for us would have been like 8,000 BCE, I think, right? Yeah. Like that would be the approximation, which would have not like when was the Egyptian civilization and the Sumerian civilizations? Those were like 5,000, 4,000.
Yeah,
5,000. I can't remember. I don't know if I remember correctly.
BC, yeah.
So it's not actually an exact approximation of our timeline to begin with, So it's just fun to speculate.
Yeah, I could see it being a bit more steampunk. So still having similar aesthetics to Korra, because I don't know if it would progress as quickly and as vastly
basically
as it does with Korra.
Arcane.
No, I'm not.
Arcane doesn't have smartphones, even though they have tech that is more than our tech.
They have walkies.
Yeah,
kind of walkie-talkie sort of vibes. Yeah, and and they have that in Korra, so they have radio phones basically. So the sort of stuff that you would.
That's true. They do have the old rotary phones. So I mean, they are already progressive.
I mean, they also have ones that are because they also have ones that are fairly wireless. Yeah, because Korra had a phone where she was talking with. She was carrying around this huge freaking pack. So I think technology will go down. Portable phones. I don't know about smartphones. What the heck does that even?
Just thinking 80s bricks. The huge 80s brick phone sort of vibe.
They'll all have Nokia phones. They'll be indestructible.
Even more indestructible because they've got magic.
Yeah.
Just imagine a full metal made by a metal bender, master. Oh my god, they're gonna have an Amazon type monopoly somewhere, and it's gonna be owned by Varric's descendant.
Varric's descendant or something like that.
Yeah, Varric and Julie's descendant.
Creating
it's gonna be the most intelligent child in existence because they are the child of Julie and Varric. Oh my god, that's gonna be crazy. That's gonna be so fun.
What would even be the storyline? I would think of a modern Earth avatar. I wonder. What is interesting about that time period? I mean, besides the idea of how do I exist in a space with all this technology? Is the avatar even needed anymore? Especially even when the spirits are now with us now again. So it's there's no bridge needed anymore. So
I wonder if we kind of navigating through that'll be the situation of, at least maybe for the first season, of trying to figure out their relevance in this new world, and maybe dealing with the social situations of so bending, while still cool, while still having its moments of usefulness, isn't as amazing as what it was in the past. We're not as reliant on bending as we were beforehand, and how that could change people's perceptions of their abilities and their needs for it. I don't know. I think it'd be interesting to see, at least for maybe the first, possibly leading into a second season, of just the usefulness of an avatar and benders as a whole. Sort of the reverse of the Amon situation. So it's benders kind of feeling a little bit, the whole thing of you take someone's power when that's all they've had and you make them equal, right, but they think it's inequality because they're now equal to someone else. Right. That sort of vibe.
I could definitely see that being a theme or storyline. Yeah. What
kind
of storylines are you expecting or wanting to see from a Earth avatar potentially?
It pretty much, the only thing I can really think about is stuff like that. It's just, where do spirits stand in this era? Because Korra hasn't really yet made any sort of particular progress in terms of actually creating peace between humans and spirits. It's been touched upon, but hasn't really been tackled all that much. So over her kind of span as the Avatar, does she actually lead to any lasting peace or anything? How does that actually work? Because so far she's mostly talked to that dragon eel spirit that hasn't been particularly helpful. But at least we have stuff like, say, I think the Legends RPG mentions that like Wan Shi Tong is going to like try again with humans, so maybe he plays a important role in something, and maybe stuff actually does happen going forward. And that's the only thing I think that would make it different, is probably like, what if surprisingly spirits are like actually super involved in a really technological world? Because we know spirits can go into machinery and do stuff with them, so does that play any role in anything?
I actually thought someone had a good question here. They said, where do we think the next Avatar will be from, in terms of like, where are we gonna, is Ba Sing Se, Republic City, is Swamp Bender perhaps? I mean, that's one thing I liked about Genji, is that he came from as a sandbender. And I like if we continue the theme of like Earth avatars are very hard to find because their populace is so large, especially now too, with it being so intermingled too. Like, it might be very difficult.
I think so. Random theory in my head about how the Avatar is reborn. I think they follow the path of least resistance, so they want to get, so that spirit wants to get back to something familiar as close as possible, which is why like Aang was reborn in the southern one water tribe where Katara is from, and stuff like that. So like Korra is very much around Republic City, so if I had to guess, it'll be somewhere around Republic City.
Republic City or Zaofu, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's nearby.
Someone says it
Republic
could be a
City.
Beifong.
Oh my god, Opal and Bolin's child, imagine, or grandchild or something like that.
That'd be like a grandchild.
Yeah, I realized I failed maths. I do feel the need to point out, if I'm referring to anything mathematical, I did.
It's okay. Story, Mike and Brian has proven that math doesn't matter.
And if they do, you just make a whole story about how Kyoshi was able to live for 230 years.
The thing is, in my head canon, Kyoshi was so like pissed off at Korra for leaving things in such disarray. She's like, I'm going to live as long as possible so I can just be in control. I can't trust anyone else, not even my own Net's life. And then she's like, fine, I'll just give up and give that responsibility to Net's avatar. And then genocide happens under Roku's watch. She's like, damn it.
She saw Roku and she's like, God damn it, Roku.
Yeah.
You was trying to live
one
longer.
job.
Although it seems like Kyoshi kind of like was like, you know what? I'm going to just piss off on my own island and just y'all do what y'all want to do.
Just get involved when she needs to. Just like, you know what? I'm sick of your shit.
Call me when you really, really need me.
Yeah.
Oh, but that's the thing that I was thinking about with the that story could be about. Like, when I think about if this avatar is going to be in this current time frame, we've gone through freaking wars and wars for the past 30, 40 years or what have you. Would the governments of the world want there to be an avatar? Someone who has no allegiances really to anyone, someone who doesn't have to answer to anyone, running the world and being able to do what they want to do. Like, governments wouldn't want that. Like, they want to run stuff the way they want to run things. Like, if they want to be like, hey, I want to go lightly invade this country, I don't want the avatar to get in the way, or I want to go do this and this, I want to open up this shop here. Like, the governments of the world, I think, will become strong enough because technology will advance. They might be able to handle the avatar. So, like, I wonder what it might be like again, the whole notion of, like, we don't need you anymore type of deal, or, like, the world, we don't want you. Like, we don't want you trying to keep balance between us. We can manage ourselves. We don't need a guardian spirit to tell us what to do.
It's like you were wanting to segue into Yang Chen, because that's exactly what goes on with the Platinum Affair. And then basically be like, nah, we don't, like, get out of our business. We want to exploit, what we're going to exploit. Get out of here.
I kind of
that'd be a cool theme,
Yeah, so from that as well, just I thought Yang Chen, but then I also thought Sokovia Accords, Marvel, and government oversight. Like, I'm just in my head, I'm just like, Avatar, Civil Wars. I'm just picking sides, going.
I often think, what if the Avatar was real? Like, during certain time periods, like, they would get in the way of stuff. They would mess some stuff up, and people would feel a certain way about it. It wouldn't be all this, oh, welcome Avatar, thank you for coming to our village, in our town, in our country. Now it'd be like, no, we hate you.
That would happen, I think, more so for more like the rural areas or like the secluded places. So you still like in the poles where people are actually like still living out in like not the city part, because you know how like the South Pole got modernized after Katara had left and everything. I think those people will still be appreciative of the Avatar. But yes, like if you go to these places like Zaofu, Ba Sing Se, Republic City, they're like, no, we're good, we're chilling here.
Yeah, that's already what Korra was dealing with basically throughout most of the show.
Yeah. Oh god, the polling numbers section of where she says, "I've got less than 5% approval rating."
Oh,
I'm like, who's doing this survey? This poor girl.
That's why I don't want smartphones. I don't want Twitter in the Avatar universe. Like, dang it, I'm trending down. Why are people hashtagging fire Korra or kill Korra or kill the new Avatar?
I can like low-key see them doing that, going that modern where they talk about social media and do commentary about that, you know, within the Avatar world. It'll be kind of like The Boys. I mean, obviously not as brutal and adult as The Boys, but I think sometimes it does too much, that show. But even that, like the idea of like they had approval ratings as like superheroes and stuff like that, you know, that could be an interesting angle. But this is a big thing that people are talking about here. Regaining the past lives and that being a potential storyline. I feel like I'm in the vast minority in that I actually appreciated that storyline because I felt like there was actual consequences. Oh, never mind. Oh, wait, no, I forget.
Yeah.
These are Legend of Korra people. I forgot. In most circles that I'm in, I am in the vast minority in that I actually really thought that was a very strong moment. And the fact that people always blame Korra and not the actual person who did it, which always bothers me. But yeah, the fact.
So one of my
go ahead.
I was like, one of my favorite lines from Shadow of Kyoshi. Spoiler alert: Yang Chen is talking to Kyoshi. Yang Chen is like, "You could talk to thousands of your lifetimes, 1,000 times, and you'll still not know how to better guide the world. Like, you have to make your own decisions." And like, I think that was like, hey, everyone, the Avatar knowledge from all these past lives, it's great to have that, but it's not what makes them the Avatar. Also, I think story-wise,
unique that people.
I would say story-wise, you can't. Yeah, story-wise, also like you can't just be like, oh yeah, Korra. Like Mike and Brian, I think, are very adamant about there are consequences to certain actions and things like that, and I wouldn't see them just control out deleting.
Brian in particular, I feel like I've seen more interviews with them and just like listened to them. So it seems like Brian's the one who's more like stubborn of the two. Like I feel like Michael's the more like, oh, I'll keep the balance. I'm the Katara, right? And I feel like Brian is more of a Toph. And he but like a Toph in that he's very like, yo, like this is the way that I want it to be. This is like this is the insight. I don't care, you know, kind of mentality. Which I've got to low-key appreciate with him in some cases, especially with the idea of like, you know, the consequences of having something like what happened in Legend of Korra, where the past lives were severed, and Rava died for like, you know, a second there. I thought that was really impactful and really moving to me. And of course, see Korra's entire journey, you know, especially through book 3 and especially book 4, is the type of thing that I think I want to see more of with Aang, which they did with one episode, which was the Daydreams. Nightmares and Daydreams episode, but I thought was really good for Aang, where he was just freaking because yes, he's a young boy who has to like, you know, legit save the world. There should be some episodes where he's just straight freaking out, like, and I can't do this, you know. And I love that we got to see that with Korra in a deeper way, because we got several episodes and several seasons, you know, of seeing her go through that. So yeah, I am in the camp of no, I don't want to see the past lives restored, because I like that there is that consequence of them being lost.
No,
Morgan, are you also in that camp?
Yeah, pretty much. I've never really had a problem with it. I always felt like it was a good move, especially when people complained that she was like given her bending back in book 1. I actually like that they went like really extreme in terms of like he was an even heavier consequence, and so far it has been permanent. Like, I'm open to like at some point if they want to find some way to reverse it, in that like, especially in a more modern Avatar, and if they are leaning into the kind of traditions being forgotten thing, a plot where the new Avatar who doesn't know much about anything tries to find out about the history of the Avatar feels like an okay plot to kind of address that history, but it's probably a bit too soon to actually go ahead with it. But yeah, I've never had a problem with it.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about it is a lot of people talk about how bringing the past lives back is like the avatar at current is always fixing the thing that was wrong or a problem in the previous avatar cycle. So in Aang's case, it was, the loss of his nation, and Korra's, actions helped restore the nation. So people say that the restoring of the past lives should be this avatar's main goal. But like more than anything, I think we kind of see throughout the show that spirits are the big thing from Korra's period of time, where she's reintroduced them. She kind of doesn't really know how to deal with them. She has no way of kind of figuring out the way to have the right balance. So it could be this next avatar's decision on working out the way and to kind of guarantee the structure and balance between spirits and people. But just like additionally with the past lives thing, like everyone else on here was saying, it makes sense why it happened. Because like, and oh my god, I got so much hate for this doing a video saying that the past lives should be kept gone. Like there's no reason to bring them back. Because like in the show, even in Avatar: The Last Airbender, the second to last episode, when Aang is talking with all the past
each and every past
avatars,
life, right?
Yeah, and they're all, and he's just like, all your advice is shit. I'm not listening.
I'm going my own way,
Literally, although ironically, he does technically follow Kyoshi's advice, which is like only justice will bring peace. He just found his own form of justice. So technically he did, but either way, he just said, no, screw you guys, I'm going to go my own way with this. Like, we've seen evidence that you listening to your past lives doesn't always actually help.
And I also love, one of the things I love about just the Avatar is that some of those past lives don't even agree with each other. Like, there was a moment in Kyoshi novels where Kyoshi is like, and I was about to kill this man. I could hear the past lives, some agreeing with me, some disagreeing with me. Mm-hmm. I didn't care what they had to say.
And just dropped them.
I love
Kyoshi. That's such a badass, man.
I love Kyoshi so much.
Kyoshi's amazing.
and the thing with me, with Kyoshi, is that I didn't earn that for her until the book. Because I felt like in the show, it was just like, she was just like, I guess, cool image. And yeah, she split the island or whatever. It was like, there was nothing there, guys. What was everybody happy about Kyoshi for? I didn't earn that. Didn't earn for me until I actually read an entire novel about her. And I'm like, yes, now Kyoshi like earned, like I felt like her notoriety. Versus
I could explain from the lesbian perspective because we all wanted her to step on us. That was the main reason. The lesbians love her because she's a tall woman who can step on us.
That is fair.
Yeah, Kyoshi's appeal before the books was always sort of just that, like, she's the
cool factor,
I'll kill you in a second avatar.
Yeah.
Well, for me, one of my favorite BA lines in the series is "I killed Chin the Conqueror." I was like, holy crap, we're trying to absolve you from this murder.
Yeah,
and you're just like,
no,
I killed him.
I did it.
Yeah. And I'd do it again.
Well, she
hold
also
on. We have
says,
a thing here. We have Merlin. If the spirits are the focus, think we could see a new type of avatar that fuses both Rava and Vatu into the avatar's spirit. Okay, I do have a thing about that. They are yin and yang, but the avatar only has one half. Well, this actually was answered by Michael O'Brien. I forget which one of them, saying that Vatu won't reemerge until the next harmonic convergence. So we're still 10,000 years away from the reemergence of a Vatu.
Yeah, I was going to say also, this is kind of technically half wrong. Because in the episode to do, like the final episode where Korra, they're having the big kaiju battle, they literally say that part of them, and even in the one episode, that part of Vatu exists in Rava and part of Rava exists in
Vatu technically is within the Avatar spirit right now.
Yeah, so that it's in there. It's not
just
a huge
tiny
part.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a small part, which is like the. Oh my god, it's literally like in the yin and yang, you have the small circle of the opposing side. So Vatu is in a sense inside Korra and Rava. We just don't see it because
Michael said that like Vatu's way too small right now to influence anything to check back in 2,000 years, but like in my head, like it'll be 5,000, right? Because then he'll grow somewhat
half his size.
But I'll be interested
to an issue at the 5,000th year is like, I feel something in my spirit right now,
I don't think the next Avatar will be affected. I think maybe the Avatar in like 500 years or so might just get little inklings of like, should I just kill this person, like just got this little devil on your back way.
And that's unique too, because the Wan to Korra timeline those avatars never had a Vatu ever, because he was in the Tree of Time at that point. It's going to be new for these new avatars, because it's like, oh yeah, Vatu is actually there and can emerge if something like, you know, his chaos is stirred in some way for some reason.
Yeah, and it will stir within them, because that's the only place where Vatu currently exists, is within that sector of Rava, within the Avatar spirit. So it
imagine
definitely...
trying to. Sorry for interrupting.
Oh, no,
sorry. Imagine trying to like think about Star Wars, like trying to manage the light and the dark side type of stuff, but just within like one person.
Yeah, that's pretty tough.
Like Andor. Andor is really good at showing like the grey side. Like I feel like Andor is the good representation of that show, of the grey side of like the light and dark, of like that in between, which I think the Avatar should be a bit more. Like I think that'd be interesting if the Earth Avatar is a bit more of that grey, because we saw that with Korra, of like she had her fight first, questions later, and then also maybe I should ask questions first this time. So like that back and forth of like her growing into realizing don't always fight first. It'd be interesting to get a bit more of that in the next Avatar, of them kind of having this bit more of a grey, of like they won't have an issue with doing physical harm to others if there is just cause for it. Like I think it'd be interesting to see like a different opinion from the public of the kind of, because we saw it with Korra. She fought first, questions later, and got in trouble for it, and people didn't like her for it. So it'd be interesting if that kind of continues to a degree, but maybe on a further side of they take it a bit too far, or they go in the opposite direction of they are very inactive and don't engage because of public opinion. I think it'd be just interesting to see how public opinion could change the action of an avatar.
Cultural influence is a big factor too. Like just thinking about where potentially this avatar can come from within the Earth Kingdom, and what each Earth Kingdom nation is like. I mean, obviously, you know, for a majority, they're, you know, pretty proud people. But if you're brought up in Zaofu, it's going to be much different than if you're brought up in like the inner circle of Ba Sing Se, right? So it's like that's interesting too. Like because the way Aang was brought up played a huge factor in how he managed himself as the avatar. You know, he wouldn't have, if he didn't grow up as a monk, he would have never thought to save Ozai. I think he would have just been like, yeah, I'm off of him. Like, you're too goddamn evil.
Yeah.
With Korra is interesting too, because I wonder if a lot of her, and they never really talk about that much, and I think that's one factor that I have a critique on Korra with, is that socially she should be pretty stunted, because she's just been in that compound for her entire life, because they were being overly protective of her because of the previous avatar. When she gets out,
I think she is stunted a little bit.
I mean, a little bit. I mean, it's there a little bit, but it's never like an active storyline that they really like go into, that I think they could have done a little bit, especially when she first interacts with maybe like a Bolin or a Mako or something like that. She just had like the
recent comic in the recent comic in Patterns in Time, Weaver's Ball, I think it is, does highlight that during her time in the compound, like her parents would bring people over to kind of see her, which gave us a little bit of an insight. Like we thought she was just on her own for most of the time, but like they bring people from like the fair to see her, so it's probably not as like bad as it maybe comes across.
Socialized. Okay.
Yeah, at least a little bit more than we think.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good, because I haven't read the Patterns Time yet. Which we could talk about too. I know that you mentioned you liked the Asami storyline that they had in there. It was Asami, her mother, I think you said, right?
Yeah. Like I like it because it's the first time we get to meet Yasuko, Asami's mother. It is only like 4 pages, and it's kind of like oddly focused on the construction of skyscrapers, but it's a nice little, you know, Asami and Yasuko story where you get to see a younger Asami and so on. And I suppose the influence of her mother and where she gets the sort of interest in like inventing architecture from. But yeah, I wish it was longer, definitely.
Because it was an anthology, basically, right? Just shorts of a bunch of little different one-offs.
Yeah, it's weird, like
kind of.
Yeah. Like there's a 2-page Guru Lahima story in there, but it's just like
that's the one I'm actually looking forward to. I haven't read it yet, but like that's the one. I hear Guru Lahima ever, and I'm like, oh yeah, what? I'm on that.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not like incredible or anything like that, but it's you get to see him like what he looks like from behind, but it's just an airbender, you know. So there's
that's a fair point, actually, that someone says here. So it's interesting that the avatars we currently know are all only children. Would it be interesting to see this avatar have a sibling and what that dynamic is like? Do we know if anything in the lore? I think so far, as we know, because we don't actively know, are they all only children? All avatars so far that we know of?
I mean, Aang and Yang, Aang and Yang Chen. I would be surprised if they didn't have some type of blood sibling around there somewhere. But well, I mean, just because the air nomads got around, and so I wouldn't be surprised if they had a brother or sister they didn't know about. But within like actual sibling, no, there's nothing in canon with any of them having siblings, which I don't know why.
Rob was like, "Nah, I can't do this twice," or whatever. I don't know. Like, did Rob make that decision?
I definitely would be. It would be interesting actually to see a sibling dynamic. I felt really bad for Lauren. I read this and I got really confused. I was like, "Oh yeah, they're all children's stories." I saw all only children. I'm like, well, I guess they are only
like
told.
yeah.
I had a full moment of like, well, they are only telling. Yeah, that's a good point. They are only 16 years old at best for most of these stories, and 12 with Aang. But then I read the rest and I was like, oh wait, now I get it. But yeah, I think it'd be interesting firstly to have siblings, but also just because I got confused, an older age range avatar. Like I really hope, because I heard the 100 years in my head, I was like, okay, say Korra dies at 70.
Oh,
she's 21.
Like,
I
hear
now.
what you're saying. Like, yeah, it's
yeah. So that's
but Korra died at 60. You know, like.
Yeah. Well, I see. Even still, like, so she's 21 at the moment
at the end of the story.
So 100 years from 21. So she could still be dying at 70, 80, and there'd be another 30, 40 years of that 100 years, but probably not that much. But like having the avatar that we meet, already a fully fledged avatar in their early 20s. Like I want an older avatar. Give me young adult, new adult age avatar stories. I want more adult things, not like that. I mean, just
yeah.
Of it, like just them being an adult.
Is the equivalent of the Old Republic, but you know, for Avatar. Like it would be amazing if they did it as a video game. I mean, it'd be great as like if it was a series too. But seeing like the second or third or the fourth Avatar or something like that far back, you know what I mean? Like I think would be really, really cool, especially because there's so much like mystery about like the middle avatars that you could legitimately make like a Revan like in the KOTOR game where it's like, yeah, there's like a canon ending, but like you can be whatever version you want. You could be like, you know, and people have always said, oh, I would like to see an evil avatar at one point. So you could like choose your path, right? You can choose like destruction or like being the savior. You can be the Paragon or the Renegade. And that would be so cool to me. Like just see like a middle of the timeline, you know, Avatar video game, you know, AAA title. That would be my dream personally.
Oh yeah, I think that. Oh god. It sounds bad. I definitely do want this new Avatar, Earth Avatar thing for like the next stage because I think that'd be fun. But I wanted more than anything an earlier Avatar. Like I really want to see the second Avatar.
The second Avatar. Yeah,
I was gonna say
so compelling.
I was gonna say second Avatar because just imagine because it'll be an Airbender. You're just being like, what the heck? Why am I bending these other elements? Why do I feel this thing echoing me that I can't control? Why do my eyes glow when I get angry?
Right.
Like it'll just be
and just
really
creating the transition
concept
around that, right? Because we know eventually with Einstein, there was ways to test that. You know, even with Kyoshi, there's ways to test it. But before, what did we do? Like, you know, I mean, like seeing all that, really, really interesting.
What would be really interesting, so I've always had this idea, if this ever happened, is like, you know how we had like witch trials in our time? Something like that happening, because it's so unheard of, so unknown, and so scary to a degree, because one was in the end a war avatar. He was terrifying to most people because he had this ability no one else understood. So for someone else to bring that in, it could leave, like, I think it'd be interesting for like a witch trial thing of like, this person is ostracized, this person is considered evil, demonic, all this sort of stuff. It'd be really interesting to see if that led, because I think, Antoine, you did a video to do with the ages of the Avatar, and like maybe some like died younger. I remember watching it being like, oh my god, witch trials.
You know, like
yeah. Immediately I was like, yeah,
witch
trials.
It gets pretty dark if you go there, but like, I mean,
yeah. I love dark stuff, so I'm just like, yeah, kill the children, but not. Don't like YouTube. I don't mean that. I'm just making a joke.
Yeah, Christopher.
Don't get into
more questions about the second Avatar than the first.
Yeah, because
hey, Novice in this file. I know that person. Hey, Novice is here, guys.
Hello.
I think Chris, you introduced me to Novice, did you not?
I probably did. Yeah. No. Yeah. We follow each other. I must have somehow. No, I did. Yeah, I did because it was the Korra video thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. No. I was like, I know this person. But okay, so there's more than just the potential of the new Earth avatar. We also have the thing that is actually coming out, and we know for a fact is like in the can, and that is the Netflix adaptation, which I guess. Well, first off, how did everybody feel when it first was announced, and like I guess what has been your timeline with it? I'll say when it first got announced, I was like, why? But then I was like, oh, Mike and Brian are part of it. Okay, cool. Maybe there's something there. And then Mike and Brian left. And I'm like, okay, it's probably shit. And then you see how they're casting, and you hear about these like behind the scenes stories and some of the things that are being applied to us. Like Yoshinawa's gonna be, in there. All of that, is all the lore is actually going to be part of, it. So I'm like, okay, that sounds pretty interesting. And like the technology that they're using. Now I'm like, okay, I think I'm like semi interested in it now and not like, dreading it. Morgan, what about you? Like, what was your timeline of like everything with it?
When it was first announced, I was kind of more negative against it because I always think more about sort of like the future projection of the franchise. And so the first big project post Korra being a live action adaptation of ATLA, I thought was just the kind of wrong direction to take the franchise in because like Mike and Brian had taken a break after Korra, and this was what they were coming back for. I didn't really get what the kind of aim was. Since they left, and then especially since the Avatar Studios announcement, I just don't really care all that much about it. Like, it's just an adaptation in my mind, where like, if it's good, okay. If it's bad, we can forget about it. It'll be a big project for next year to talk about, but that's really where I stand on it. We have Avatar Studios, which is more of what I'm actually interested in.
Yeah, for me, I started off so high. Like, I remember where I was at when it was announced. I was in a meeting at my job with like some state people and stuff, and like, I remember getting a text on my phone. My phone's blowing up. People are like trying to get to me, like, "Hey, have you heard about it?" So I was, yeah, I was on a high because like I'm always, before this, I would like go to sleep at night thinking like, how would I do a live action movie to this? Or how would I reboot this to be live action? And so I was really excited to learn Mike and Brian were involved. I'm like, all right, I'm cool. Even if it's like just okay, it's Mike and Brian's vision. They can do whatever they want. So I was on a really big high. And like time just kept going on. I'm like, man, I haven't heard much from Mike and Brian in a while. Is this even happening? And then they left, and then I just stumped so low. I was like, I don't give a crap about this. I'm gonna watch it, of course, and be there. And then slowly I've gotten more interesting. The cast looks great. They have a lot of, looks like they got great talent around it. Really excited about Danny Pudi as a Mechanis for some reason. Danny Pudi,
yeah, that's actually really cool. That was a really cool casting.
Yeah. And now I'm like half excited. Like, I just want them to be able, no matter how good or bad it is, I want them to be able to tell the whole story and tell it the way, I guess, that they want. Like, and also I hope they can fit some things in Avatar, like Aang's character arc. I'm in a minority that think Aang's character arc needs to be a lot better. But I think they have some things they can do a little bit different and not deviate too much from it. It'll be interesting. It'll at least get those people who don't like animation more involved into the world of Avatar, and maybe they'll explore more of it because there's a lot there.
Because I had that similar experience with the Last of Us adaptation that they're doing right now on HBO Max. Because I played the game, I think it's a perfect story. Like, and I was like, why? Like, the story is already perfect. The way, like, why do you need it? But then I had a friend who came to me. He's like, yeah, but I don't play video games. Like, I don't know the story because I don't play. I'm like, oh, you know what? Okay, that's fair. Like, I'm just thinking about me, like, being a gamer, right? But yeah, when you do these adaptations, you're exposing it to people who, which I don't understand how people don't like animation, but some people just like, I refuse. I don't care about those cartoons, But
I hate those.
They'll only watch it as a live
just
action.
Watch.
Yeah, I don't.
People are like, I don't watch anime. I'm like, there's so much good anime on. Like, you love anime.
Or Arcane, for example, like, it was a success, I feel like, among people who like animation, and among us, it was like super, super like, yeah, this is amazing. But I still feel like in terms of like mainstream, it didn't quite hit that level, right? And it just sucks because stuff like that, Death Robots, Love, Death and Robots, like super amazing. Doesn't get enough credit, I feel like. Yeah, like it hurts my soul, but I get it that some people just don't, and now they'll be more exposed to this world, and hopefully we'll maybe go back. Like sometimes when people make a really good book adaptation, they'll go back and like read the books and that sort of a thing. But sorry, Fran, I think you didn't tell us your experience with the whole.
No,
I think you always were
good.
up here, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so I don't think I ever had like a proper dip when I heard that Mike and Brian were leaving. I thought it was kind of like, oh, that kind of sucks. And reading their thing, I was like, oh, and like obviously we've always heard bits and pieces of, like Netflix sucking. I mean, they cancel all my Sapphic shows, so fuck them. But like, but I don't think I ever kind of lost hope in it, because I was like, I was always interested to see how it could go, because like we always knew that the Shyamalan film, Mike and Brian were never involved with that from the start.
No, not even a
but
little
in this
bit.
case, Mike and Brian did have some involvement with, they brought on the writing team, they did have some involvement. And honestly, okay, this is why people don't like me on YouTube, because of the stuff that I say. I thought that Mike and Brian, if they'd stayed, may not help the show be the success it is, because they work exclusively with animation. I don't think they would know the best way to turn it into a live
and
action
to adapt it too, because that's the big thing. Is that adaptation does not mean copy paste. Adaptation is very.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris, by the way, I love your shirt. I just noticed it right now. Beautiful shirt, by the way.
My shirt.
Yeah. Oh, I also have a pretty cool shirt. Oh, I'm so curious, but I really like this shirt a lot.
Nice.
It is a hybrid of both Star Wars and Avatar. But
I just have pajamas.
Yeah. For instance, Harry Potter 3. I remember when that first came out, people were like so livid about like, oh my god, it's not like the books, but it's the best movie of. I don't care what anyone says. It is the best movie because it went out to make itself a movie, not a copy paste of. Which is, I mean, the first two movies were great because they were like, oh, it's like the books and everything like that, but they didn't have a filmic identity in the same way that the third one did. So yeah, I wonder that too, Fran, if maybe they were very steadfast in like, no, this is it, you know.
There's some stuff that I feel kind of for like how long things were taking, because like we've seen, like I'm just thinking with like Percy Jackson at the moment, like I'm a follower of Percy Jackson, my channel was Percy Jackson related. This show was announced in 2020 and it is expected to release in late 2023, early 2024. We were told about the Avatar Netflix adaptation in, was it 2018, 2017?
I want to say 2018.
Yeah,
it was
and by 2020, we'd heard nothing until we got the announcement that they were leaving. We'd got no idea of who was involved. We had there was like basically no information about what was going on. But then kind of like the moment they left, things started to kind of pick up speed. We found out about the showrunner, about casting only a year later. Like things moved real quick when they left. And like, again, this is why people don't always like me. For me, that was kind of evidence of the fact that Mike and Brian may not have been as beneficial to an adaptation of their material. Not to say that they don't know what they're doing, because obviously they do. They created the stuff. Like they're the creators of Avatar. They know what they're doing with that. But for an adaptation of their work, I don't know if they would have been going about it.
I mean, that's a very real thing. That's why a lot of times industry professionals don't allow the original writers to be like in the room, because most of them are like, oh, this is my precious baby, you can't do this thing. But it's like, we have to, because production, you need a really good collaborator in contrast to them would be George R.R. Martin. But I think the reason he was so good at being a collaborator is because he came from the world of film and television. So he did books first, but then he went off to make screenplays, was in writer rooms, understood the woes of production and stuff like that. You can't have the exact thing that's on your in the script page. And because of that, he was a much easier person to collaborate with in Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. That might not be, we're speculating obviously, but like, that possibly Mike and Brian weren't the best at unlatching and making it a different thing.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I know that I'm basing a lot of my stuff on like how the stuff with Rick Riordan for Percy Jackson has been going, because like he was updating super dang regularly about stuff that was going on, which like Disney Plus, Netflix, very different platforms. But like, we knew when scripts were in works, we knew when casting was slowly happening. Like we were kind of getting updates, whereas like 2 years after the announcement of live action adaptation, nothing basically. Like almost radio silence until like we got a few stories. And then we got the announcement from like Brian kind of being sort of cryptic about news. And then we got the news that they were leaving. And I would just remember being like, I am so confused because, like, I swear last month he was saying stuff's happening, and then we got news that things were ending.
The thing I love about Bright is that they don't hold themselves to fan expectations. They're like, we're going to tell a story that we really want to tell. But also, they're like, we don't feel the need to like inform you in on everything, that, you know, keep you up to date on stuff. Like, they're going to have to be like, we'll get stuff out at our own time. Like, just wait.
And they're supposed to be notorious for that too, about being very late with like scripts and things like that. And
yeah, I was hearing those rumors as well, which, like, I was already thinking things moved real quick when they went, but then hearing those rumors, I was like, I would not be surprised based on the stuff. No offense to Mike and Brian, you guys rock. If you ever want to do an interview, I am available. Oh god, no one will ever talk to me.
I think that my concern with the show currently is looking at Netflix's biggest shows, which I would think is like, what, I guess The Witcher, like in terms of like effects, right? And that's the one thing I'm somewhat concerned about. But they are using that technology that was popularized by Mandalorian.
It was in
which is going to be incredible. So that means that their sets are going to look really incredible. But that still leaves, you know, the bending part of it, you know, and all of that. But I also wonder, do I really care about that portion? Because all I really care about, I think, is if the spirit of the story is translated. And if these kids can really nail the characters in particular. Like, I don't care so much. I mean, I do care that they are casted racially correctly, but more so, I really want to hope that these kids are actually these characters. Like, that's the main thing. I want these performances I want that to be like, oh, this is which I'm hearing from. Like, the woman who's playing Kyoshi, forget her name. She's on the Kung Fu show or something like that, or...
Yes, Kung Fu. Her name is Chapman something.
Like yes. Something Chapman. Was saying how impressed she was by
Yvonne Chapman.
Yvonne Chapman.
Saying how impressed she was with the main trio. If Sokka has that you know, the comedic vibe and that laid back, you know, way he's got about him, but, you know, still serious when he needs to be, like, that's the main thing I hope for. Is that they get the spirit right. I don't really care so much about the exact, like, even when we heard about recently the description of the opening scene being like slightly different, how they go into like a cave or something like that. I'm like, so I know some people would be like, they didn't go into a cave. I'm like, no, I'm cool with that. You know what I mean? Like, or how Aang might go deeper into the spirit world to see avatars besides Roku. Like, that stuff like makes me like.
I am so excited about the fact that we have other avatars, because like the moment they announced Karuk, I was like, Northern Water Tribe, he's gonna meet Karuk, and it's gonna be the Ko the Face Stealer with Karuk. Like, straight away,
that is gonna be awesome.
That's gotta happen. Because that makes so much more sense as well. Because like he meets Ko the Face Stealer in the Northern Water Tribe. It never made sense to me why Roku was doing it, when we then found out later on that Karuk was the one who had the relationship with Ko the Face Stealer. So now I'm just like, this has gotta happen. And I hope it is, because otherwise why have they casted him? Not that the actor's bad, I just mean like there was no reason to cast it if that's not happening, but I have a feeling it's happening. So and I'm very easily hyped. I don't know if it's a good sign or a bad sign, but maybe it just means that I have more happiness. I don't know. I say as someone who's like does a lot of complaints about stuff, but you know. That's
so I'm lukewarm on the side of more excitement. Morgan's lukewarm, but on the side of like meh. Chris, where are you currently? I know that at the beginning you were like boom.
The thing is, I'm probably more excited than you are. But I was really, really high for a while. And now I'm just like, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to watch it probably 3 times. Probably watch it, do a review, then do it by episode review, and then break it all down. And by the end of it, I'll watch it 5 times. I watched The Last Airbender 4 times, which is 3 times too many. 4 times too many.
It's funny, people actually think I watch it all the time, but I actually don't. Oh, thank you, Ken. Okay, no, we had the mods in there still. Someone was asking. Yeah, people think I watch it more. I think maybe if I say like back to back, probably only 3 times. But I watch it a lot in clips. Like I there's a lot of clips that I watch from Avatar, but not like straight through. I've probably only seen it straight through like 3 times. So yeah, it's funny that you mentioned.
I probably seen it straight through 15 times.
I have a friend who's
in college
he watches it every night.
In college,
Damn.
I was just watching Scrubs, Sports Center, and Avatar. It was just a constant loop of those three things.
That was me with Korra. Korra is the one that I watch and repeat. Like I don't think I've actually watched Avatar: The Last Airbender all the way through. Maybe more than 3 times since I started watching it, like when I was 18. So like, oh god, nearly a decade ago. But like Korra, I think I rewatch at least once every year, if not every 2 years, because I've got to support my bi queen, and that's the way to do it. And also, I'm a softie for the muscles.
So someone says here, do you think they will change the finale ending with Koizilla? I didn't really think about that, but like we know a few things are going to be changed. We already talked about, some of that with the Spirit World stuff, more additions of Kyoshi prior to book 2. I feel like Koizilla is one of the things they probably would keep. Oh, that's true though. But in the M Night one, they didn't have Koizilla. I remember they just had him doing an Uber title on his own.
Yeah,
that was so dumb. I mean, it wasn't. The thing is, like, I'll give M Night some credit. M Night movie's terrible, but he was trying to give Aang a character arc within that movie. But to me, that was the wrong time to try to give him a character arc because Aang can't master the Avatar state right there. He has to build to it. That has to be the last that he does. And also, he was like, "Why didn't want to do it?" Because it was just a.
It's not a typical hero's journey arc. It's more about people made this joke about Paddington. It's that movie about that bear, where it's not about the bear changing, right? But it's a British thing, right? Yeah. In that it's about everyone else changing around that character, which is kind of what it is with Aang. It's less about him having his hero's journey, but also it's about him changing the people around him.
I disagree with that. But I get the point. To me, if you don't have a character arc that yourself change, your beliefs change, you at least have to change people around you. And I was watching this video called About Writing from some YouTube channel called About Writing, and they're writing about characters with no character arc. They're still really well written characters. And they brought up Paddington.
Oh, Just Right.
They brought up
Just Right.
Just Right. That's what it is.
He's awesome. Stage.
Yeah, and they're saying like a character, if they don't have their own character arc, they need to change people's beliefs and things themselves.
Other people's world.
Yeah, the world around them.
Which is a lot of.
I feel like Aang. I feel like he doesn't do it as much as he should. I feel like he doesn't really do it. Like Zuko changes, not really because of Aang. Katara changes, not really because of Aang. Like everyone else except for Aang has a character arc, but I don't think he really is solely responsible for them changing. Like I hope the show improves this, and to where like by the end of the show, you realize that it wasn't.
Oh no.
Oh no. Oh no.
You're making a good point.
Well, Morgan, what do you think is going to be changed in the Netflix show? Potentially, besides what we already talked about, or what would you be okay with overall, what do you think should change?
Well, my opinion on it is that like stuff has to change because it is an adaptation, but like you're never going to please everyone because like if you make too many changes, people will be annoyed about that. If you stick too close to
silenced him. Sorry, I had to put that up.
Yeah, if you stick too close to the source material, then what's the point in a way?
Right.
Based on the information we have right now, which is just like the entire cast, I find it interesting that I think it's planned to be 8 episodes for the first season. We have like
8? I thought it was at least 10.
We have characters cast for like nearly every notable book 1 character except maybe like Zhang, Haru, Tyro, and then like the Great Divide characters.
No Zhang. I didn't hear about any Zhang. Wait, no, are you sure?
Oh no, there is. There was a casting for Zhang. I just can't remember the name.
That's an important storyline. How can they not?
Yeah, they did have him. I just can't remember. God, where was it?
Oh, I was about to.
It was announced. I just can't remember where it was.
No, how can they not have Zhang? Oh yeah, they said that Mike and Brian was silencing you, Chris.
Yeah, I don't know if they said specifically who he was playing, so I'm gonna have to double check.
And you know what else can be improved too? The freaking romances. I still think that's the weakest part of all Avatar, except for the Kyoshi books, in that the romances are not very good. And the romance arcs are not very good in the show.
It's hard. I think it might be hard to write a really good romance for kids.
Yeah, for kids.
Like Kyoshi and Rangi are like at that age where you are feeling feelings very, very hard, and you can kind of act on those.
Well, so was Korra. She was 17. She was older than Kyoshi at the time.
That's true.
But Korra had the worst I feel like
Yeah.
storylines like the whatever. I mean, I thought her best relationship was with Bolin initially. I'm talking about like the beginning of the series. And then that didn't go. And then that love triangle was just it's not terrible, but it's not very good. And that's like the Achilles heel to me of Avatar is a romantic subplots.
Yeah, I think interestingly enough, like the romance wasn't as bad in Avatar: The Last Airbender, but like this is the whole thing I always say: Mike and Brian need a writer's room, because like for season 1 and season 2 of Korra, season 1 there was only just Mike and Brian writing. Season 2 it was Mike and one other person, so like, there was like
Jim,
2 writers.
Not Jim, Tim Hedrick.
Tim
Hendricks?
Hendrick.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And I'm just kind of like, yeah, you need more people for that, because like the romance wasn't great, obviously, in Outlaw because they're kids, but you can see where the writer's room element is important for Avatar as a whole, because just 2 people writing, you're not getting anyone questioning what you're writing there. If there had been more people would be like, is that the choice you want to make here? Because don't do that.
Wait, what were you saying before about, or did you not really? Because you say you're not huge on Netflix adaptation, so that was it. You ought to say about like what things could be changed or what you want to see.
Mainly just that, like I said, from what I could see, there's only like literally probably like 3 or 4 book 1 characters that they don't have cast, and I don't know how they're going to fit that all into like 8 episodes, even if they are like an hour long, where like we basically know they're going to touch on probably a little bit of everything. So how does that all work while also bringing in like bits of Kyoshi content that's about her and Karuk, and little bits of extra content like that as well? It feels like a lot of material to cover in that, like you get weird groupings of episodes where like, are you going to put
I was just gonna say that right now,
5
like,
together,
let's
Boomy, and
let's do an exercise right
of...
now. How do we think they're going to be combining these things? Like episode 1, what do we think? I think maybe they can stop right at the end of Southern Air Temple. Yeah, the first 3. Oh, you think 2? I think the first 3 can be.
Yeah, first 2, possibly 3, depending. Like it would probably
because
just
Kyoshi feels like
pacing.
that's a break off. Like I feel like, especially because there's a huge sad ending to the Southern Air Temple. And that I feel like that's the dividing line, because you have the Boy in the Iceberg, you have the Avatar Return, and the Southern Air Temple. We're like, oh my god, the Fire Nation sucks. We must defeat Fire Nation, and then you can move off to the Kyoshi. But you think first 2 episodes? So okay, if it is the first 2 episodes, what do you think episode 2 is? Do you think it is partially Southern Air Temple, or do they skip over Southern Air Temple for the Kyoshi stuff?
Wait, hold on, I need to get the episode up.
Oh, yeah, me too. I have it up too. That's why I was saying, like, oh man, like how are they gonna do it? Right now, just looking off of it, I'm like, okay, first 3 episodes, right? Has to be.
Fine, we did a podcast episode just going through book 1, taking out the episodes that we don't think will make it, and we combined a few of them. Kind of forgot what we had said, but I do think the first episode is going to be part 1 and 2 of the Boy in the Iceberg and After Returns, because it ends book 1. That first chapter should have a pretty end with the umph. And I think if you bring in the Southern Air Temple with it, it'll just kind of diverge from just that one little chapter there.
So if you think it's episode 2 starts with the Southern Air Temple, do you think they segue into Kyoshi as well?
So
or do they rearrange? That's like Kyoshi is pretty standalone on its own.
Yeah, so I was actually, the way in which I thought it was like, I was planning to rearrange it, so have the King of Amashu storyline mixed in with the Southern Air Temple of his old friend, and leading into him. So he's seeing his old friend who's 112 years old right now. So he's seeing that there is a literal passage of time, and then the additional oomph of pain of finding the relics of his old nation, and kind of like maybe even leading into him being like, look, Boomy, love you, gotta see what's happening here, and then finding so completely forgot his name for a second there. So like a combination of those two, and yeah, they're all 1 hour long, so I think there's like a possibility of mixing stuff in. But yeah, I think the way in which I would have done it is like those first 2 episodes, so it ends in this kind of like big beat of here's the Avatar, they're going on this adventure together, they're going to figure out what's going on, King of Amashu and then Southern Air Temple together in some way. Like I think there's a way to introduce it, and then
Warriors Kyoshi as episode 3.
Yeah, but with
I think they would skip in prison. I think in prison will get skipped.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
I
prison
think
is out. Like you don't
Yeah,
we don't
I
have
think
time
it's
for
out.
in prison.
And I
Yeah.
would have then combined a bit of the Winter Solstice Part 1 with the Kyoshi episode of having that element of a spirit going after the warriors of Kyoshi on Kyoshi Island and the problems with that, and combine it a little bit to then lead
I
to
think
like,
Winter
you've got a-
Solstice is its own thing. The Spirit World Avatar Roku, I feel like that's its own episode.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Where episode are we on right now? Okay, hold on. We're technically in episode.
I'm definitely
3?
jumping around a lot.
So
I
Winter
was-
Solstice would be around 3-4
yeah,
episode, right?
yeah.
The waterbending
yeah.
scroll. Oh, does that die? Does they
Yeah,
haven't
that goes
cast
out.
Jet, have they? There's no Jet.
They haven't cast
they
Jet.
have-
I think they're
No,
saving
they-
Jet for book
Oh,
2.
they have.
Jet has been cast, yeah.
Okay, so Jet
Yes?
will be in there in some capacity. Oh, but where? Like, I was trying to figure out like how he would fit in like an hour long. Would he like be combined with the Blue Spirit and the storm? No, the storm. Oh, but then you have the storm. Oh, damn, that's a tough thing to crack. How are they gonna?
I
fit
think you can
everything?
integrate the storm into episode 3, just like because episode 3 already has the initial part of the backstories for Aang and Zuko, Southern Air Temple. I think you can just make that extended if you need to,
Oh.
because you
Oh,
don't need to
yeah.
have the whole
You
he goes to the fisherman
could.
thing to set
If
up while
he
you
could
have
go
the
off to a
backstory.
cave in the Southern Air Temple, he could just go off to some, cave on
Yeah.
his own, and Katara finds him,
Yeah, and Zuko can just do something else in relation to like the Agni Kai or
That's
whatever.
Right.
Probably works out
Well,
better
that
that way.
could
Actually,
happen,
almost.
yeah. Oh, and
Yeah.
that could connect better
Or
with
in
the
that
Agni Kai, 'cause
same,
even-
when he has the Agni,
Go
because
ahead.
I was like when he has the Agni Kai with Zhao, and Iroh's like, you remember what happened to your last Agni Kai?
Yeah,
And
that's exactly what I was
boom,
gonna say. I was
flashback.
gonna say exactly. I was gonna say exactly that. That's the perfect segue, right? Because you had the shot of his eye on the right side, and he goes, boom.
Mhm.
And then instead of it being, oh, what's he talking about? They can immediately go to
No.
seeing, and also because we know who Ozai is at this point. I forget the gentleman's name. He's a famous actor. He was on Lost.
Daniel
in
Day
Hawaii
Kim.
Five-O.
Daniel
Okay,
Day Kim.
Yeah,
Daniel
actually,
Kim.
I'm going to take
Yes.
credit. I'm going to take credit for his
You
casting.
called that?
Years ago in my video, I
Oh,
called
fan
that
casting.
casting.
Hey!
Like I think someone looked at my casting and just said, "Yeah, let's get Daniel Day Kim." That was like a month after they announced Avatar was happening.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what's
Such a
up.
good cast.
Oh, the fortune teller. I think that one's probably gone, right?
Oh yeah,
Bato
yeah.
the water
Yeah.
tribe.
Yeah.
haven't
You can
heard
sum that
like
up in
one-
like a minute or two in like at the start of an episode somewhere if you need to. Like Katara just randomly goes to a
Montage-y.
fortune teller. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I
the
think
ones that
Desert's
can
pretty
definitely be
important.
cut. Oh, sorry.
Are
So Bottom of the Water Tribe,
think
Fortune
so, too.
Teller,
Hate that episode.
Great
Yeah.
Divide, Waterbending
course.
Scroll,
I think
and
so.
Imprisoned. So at least
I think
5
so too.
episodes can be
I
cut.
think so too.
Yeah.
I
I
agree.
think we know
with all of that.
Bato is
I-
cast though, I think.
Oh, he is. So they're gonna bring Bato the water tribe.
It's a weird one where like it was just like sort of like unnamed water tribe character or something like that. But
But that could have been for the
I-
Northern Water Tribe, though, technically.
yeah.
Because like we've got the the episode with them in the Northern Water Tribe. 'Cause I don't think they give him a name, but they
I-
do have. Oh, well, I've forgotten his name. Yue's fiance. They casted
Han.
him. Han, that's it. They casted him. He's cool.
Yeah, he has a little bit of a role. I mean, he's not significant, but he should be there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
just-
weirdly
You know
hope-
why he should be there, and that's one of the things that it needs to be corrected. Is the Yue and Sokka like insta love storyline that we have currently that can
Just
get
cut it.
developed a whole lot more. You think they're gonna cut that entirely?
No, you can't cut that. Sokka has to watch his loved one
They're gonna better
go off.
develop it.
Yeah, no, they're either going to develop it, but I can't.
I think-
I'm one of.
I think it changes the character of Sokka a lot. I think you gotta have that.
See, I don't.
I mean,
think it
I
really
hate-
changes his character because, like, the only time we see the significance of like his influence from that is when he sees Suki again,
With Suki,
and he's like
yeah.
super paranoid. Like, that's the only moment we see of any change of him.
But
And
he
it was
also
so
sees
random.
her in the swamp, and then
You could see someone
he
else.
just
You could see his
he just
dad.
carries the stuff around.
I agree in its current state, like how it is in the show. Yeah, it's a love, and it's not the best. It's not terrible either, but it's not like it's rushed.
Mm.
And I think that's what the show can rectify. They can rectify
Yeah.
that, especially if they're having the casting of the Prince guy. Then they can have more of an establishment of that, and it can seem like they were there for at least a few months and not like a week or something.
Yeah. I think it was like a couple of days, wasn't it? Like originally.
I mean, the impression of it. I mean, I think the impression or behind the scenes they say is like longer, but like the impression is that they were only at the north for like 2 weeks at most or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's something
I'm
that can be
intrigued as to
corrected
what-
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay,
It
well, so
definitely
back to
happens.
what episode are we
Sorry.
on currently? Okay, if we're saying 1 and 2 are an episode. You can rearrange Southern Air Temple and King of Amashu to be episode 2. I think Warriors of Kyoshi is going to be episode 3,
Yeah.
but I don't think it'll be standalone. It might want to combine with something else. So what would Warriors of Kyoshi combine with?
Ooh.
It wouldn't be able to
Jet?
combine with Winter Solstice. Oh, could you do Jet? Possibly. Well, no, but then Jet
It
is
could
like
be
on
the
a different
village.
part,
It could be. Oh, yeah. No, it's on an island.
because they're off on their island.
Yeah,
Morgan,
they
what are
are.
your thoughts
They
here?
are.
I'm not really sure. Like, they might just give Kyoshi like its own episode because
That's what I feel
she's
like too.
now
It might just
pretty
be its own
significant.
standalone.
Because like they've obviously cast like Suki's mom, so it looks like Suki's gonna get maybe more of a bigger role.
Do you
and,
think they might combine
uh,
Avatar Day and Kyoshi possibly? Like they could do a book 2 merging already. I don't know how that would fit. 'cause,
maybe.
like they wouldn't be there for any reason unless they do. I don't know. That's the hardest part. I think figuring out where the Kyoshi episode goes, because I think Winter Solstice is its own standalone. I think that's episode 4. I think episode 4 is Winter Solstice part 1
Yeah,
and 2.
I think it could lead to a hint towards it because, like, if he connects with Kyoshi's spirit and she lets him know that Roku needs to speak with him and to go here, we get like lead up to it to a degree or something like that. I don't know.
Right.
There's like a potential.
Jet,
for
Jet
it.
could be a lead up to it as well, lead up to before they go to Kyoshi Island. But it's just weird because, like, in terms of the geography, it wouldn't make sense for them to
What I'm
Yeah.
be meeting Jet.
what I'm curious is why would he have trouble reaching Roku? Like Roku's the next life. If I had to guess, it would be because Roku maybe feels so much shame that he can't even face
Oh, that would be
his-
good.
his future self.
It could be a Guru Patik thing where, like, his chakra, his guilt chakra hasn't been unlocked, so you can't
Yeah.
talk to Roku for some reason, and they can change the magic system. And that could be one of the reasons why Bright could have been mad, because they were saying, "Oh no, we're gonna do it like this," and they're like, "No, that's not how the magic system works," or something. And they're like, "No, we're just trying to, make it different and different." Because that's definitely a potential that his guilt
Yeah.
chakra is not allowing him to speak to Aang. Because he himself is like, "Yo, I fucked up. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry."
Yeah.
Genocide. Sorry.
Okay, so yeah, I think Kyoshi, or I think Winter Solstice will be episode 4. However, they rearrange Kyoshi would be a thing. Maybe combine it with Jet or something like that. Then we have the Storm and the Blue Spirit. Maybe,
I think they'd
possibly.
combine them. Yeah, because
Could be
they're the
combined,
ones
right?
that make the most sense combined because the events of the storm almost influence
The Blue Spirit, right.
situation of him breaking away. Because like he's
Yeah, because
going
they get
against
sick.
Fire Nation.
They get sick, and then that directly ties to the Blue Spirit.
I don't think they're gonna do the get sick thing again.
Oh, you don't
That-
think
that
so?
was
Oh, no,
almost-
that's season 2.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna do the
Yeah,
get sick
Wait,
thing. Like,
season
oh,
two
you gotta
was
go
when
get
they-
frozen
didn't they get sick in
frogs.
season 1? Yeah,
No,
the frozen
season
frogs.
right-
two
right
is-
after-
it's to do with when he saves I forgot. Oh my god.
No, season 1.
Is this
the place-
Omashu Pentapox?
No, not Pitabox. I'm talking about the frogs. He has to go
Make a
get the frogs
tar and
when they get
Sokka.
captured
Oh,
by
the
the
frogs.
Yuan
Oh, sorry.
archers.
I thought you meant
and the Yuan
Zuko.
archers. They better have the Yuan archers. I swear.
My bad.
That would
Sorry,
be so
mate.
cool.
I thought you meant Zuko got sick, and I was like, no,
Oh
that's
no!
book 2.
Oh yeah, Zuko does get sick. Oh yeah, that's book 2 for sure. Because he's like, I'm
Yeah.
too good, and my
So
spirit
it's 'cause
doesn't
you
know
were
what to
talking
do
about
with
Blue
itself.
Spirit, and I immediately went, wait, when did Zuko get sick in this?
Oh yeah, no.
think
It's I'm talking about Sokka and Katara getting sick, and then he had to get the frogs. My frogs come back. My friends.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna get sick. I think they'll just come up with some type of story reason why
Where
Aang
they-
gets separated from
yeah.
them.
Because I think it's
Yeah.
important that Zuko and Aang have that. That's one of my favorite moments of the
Idea.
entire book 1. Oh, book. I mean,
I
idea.
missed- Sorry, full school mode. The storm is him running away. He's having
Right.
a moment of like he's being confronted, and that leads to the blue spirit. That's how they connect it. They've got the storm and the blue spirit. Everything's connecting. Zuko's left the ship. Iroh is talking to the men. They're finding out the Agni Kai. Zuko is alone. He's decided to go mess with firebenders because they suck. And like there's a way to combine it in that way of like his Aang's running away during the storm is
Right.
what leads to him being captured by the Yuan archers and Zhao.
Yeah, that can happen too. That's a way of combining it, Yeah, I mean, that'll be a good episode, obviously. Like, and then that's when I said about the spirit. I want the spirit of that moment where, like, Aang's like, in a previous life we could have been friends. Like that is so important to me. Like, if they don't get that, I'll be like, I'm mad. Like, I don't really care about like exact, like beat by beat stuff, but emotional storylines have to be the same to me. like the emotional through line has to be like the same for those really really impactful moments. Okay, so that will be episode.
I really
and then you get into the weirdness of the deserter, bottom of the water tribe, fortune teller. Like I guess that could be like the montage episode of them futzing around as they're traveling.
I wouldn't be surprised if they haven't cast Zhong, they could move the deserter to season 2 because I feel like that has season 2 storyline potential.
They could, but I do like that storyline of Aang being too keen on getting fire and burning Katara. You know, that's pretty big. But yeah, I don't know where how do it.
Season 2 because of like that whole situation I like it for the finale of book 1 of him causing devastation, seeing a war in its actual finite form, and then wanting to learn more and getting a bit too ahead of himself in season 2 with firebending.
Oh, that could. Oh, especially even after they meet up with the that Earth General Fong, I think his name is, in the beginning of book 2, where Aang's like, well, he didn't make a point. I do need to learn this stuff, and then that's where like Zhong will come into it, but he's way too keen and messes it up. Waterbending Master, would that be combined with the Siege of the North? That would make it feel short. I feel like unless they have
episode,
which would be Northern Air Temple. But I feel like them getting introduced to the North is like kind of a big, a big moment, right?
I think they've said that the North thing it may actually be 2 episodes.
Oh, they actually are going to separate. Okay, that gives enough time because I feel like it does need that time. For sure. Yeah, and that's it. That will be the episodes, huh? Because just getting rid of things.
Someone's pointing out that I put my hand up. I'm sorry. It's what I do. I want to say something, but I don't want to interrupt, so I raise my hand like I'm a kid.
Okay. I can see.
So
working.
I know they're not going to do this, but I really enough would like them to try to do the Great Divide because to me there is a good story there.
There's like touch on it or something.
Because like the story is like people at war for hundreds of years don't know why they're even at war with each other. I realize that you are the same person. Realize you have love and empathy for your fellow neighbor. Like there's so much commentary you can make with that episode that wasn't made in the episode.
Right.
But I know they're not gonna do it.
Like there's no.
And it's fine. They're not gonna do it.
The division between the nations is an illusion. That's something that Iroh was like, hey, that's how I figured out lightning redirection.
Great Divide book 2. I mean, there's potential for it.
Yeah, there's potential there for sure.
Because it sets up Aang's situation at the end of the series as well of finding a way around conflict. Because his whole thing is he lies to solve the conflict. Like he found a workaround around a conflict that didn't.
But some people have issues with that too. People are like, "Oh, I didn't like that egg lied."
Yeah,
I didn't really care that much about the Great Divide. Honestly, I didn't either way. Like I've been very extremely like neutral to that episode.
It's not a terrible episode, just compared to all the other episodes of Avatar. Although I dislike Bato the Water Tribe more than the Great Divide.
Yes.
Well, because of what Aang does in it, or
it's just I feel like I like June. June's great, but just put her something else. But I feel like so many of the characters kind of just betray their character. Like Aang turns his back on them with the whole note thing. Katara Sokka abandoned him pretty quickly. It was just I just felt like characters acted in contradictory.
The conflicts were kind of contrived. I mean, I thought the foundations were fine because I think that is realistic for someone like Aang to feel that.
I have those feelings of jealous. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But like the way that he like went through it was like, oh damn, that's like. Pretty bad, man. Like,
yeah.
The video
no one talks about that.
Oh yeah. No. When Mark's against Aang and stuff like that, but everything Korra does, every little thing Korra does. Oh god. Quest for Balance. We don't really know exactly what the game is. We thought we did. What is it now? Is it supposed to be like an RPG kind of thing? It's supposed to be a triple
action adventure.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, the description that we have for the game is like it's action adventure. There's like 18 stages, 9 playable characters. That's
is it
all
gonna be
we
similar
really
to
have.
the Legend of Korra game? When you say stages
I would
like
guess
that, is it going to be like that?
I'm gonna guess it's gonna be something like that. They mentioned like upgradable abilities, so I doubt it would be as maybe like combo combat focused, but I guess it's some sort of a beat 'em up where you also like collect stuff.
And we're supposed to be able to play as several characters, right? Not just like an avatar, but like I think we can play as Iroh or something like that, or Zuko.
I think about Avatar News said that the sort of premise for the story of the game is that like it's ATLA being retold by the Order of the White Lotus members, so the story works slightly differently.
Yeah, I'm now, yeah.
Like they over-exaggerate parts or something like that.
Which is cool, because I think that works for video
yeah.
game. In the same way that I feel like doing a KOTOR-like game where, you go really far back and you make up your own scenario. That would be, I think that's what excited me. Now I'm remembering, like playing as Paku, as Bumi, as Iroh. That would be really fun. I mean, would that excite you, Morgan? Like, is that something you'd be into?
I'm just interested in playing a new Avatar game. I don't really care if it's terrible. I just want to play a new Avatar game for the first time in years. It's been a bit tiring seeing like Avatar has a tie-in with this other game.
I'm over that. Yeah, I'm over that.
Yeah.
I mean, they should still do that, like still maintain that, like, but also have your own original games, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if this is just a basic start.
I'm just gonna show. So I got my stuff from the Kickstarter.
Wait, I didn't get mine shipped. Did you get your ship?
The US has only just been shipped out, so they did like Europe and all that. First,
motherfucker!
Yeah. I got so much shit, man. It's amazing. I've got the box next to me. I can go through and show all the stuff if you want.
No, I don't want to see it. I want mine.
But I was actually just thinking, like, this is why I'm always really sad, because no one likes tabletop RPGs. Well,
I never play, and I wish I had friends to play. It sounds fun.
It's so good. I was just thinking, I was like, Anton, I was actually going to message you, just being like, because I got all the stuff, and I was like, we need to organize doing like live stream playing for the tabletop RPG. And I was like,
oh yeah, that's true. I probably should. I've never usually played tabletops, but that's people said it's because you had a bad DM. I'm like, I guess so, because I played several. And I'm always like, I'm bored.
Yeah, it definitely does depend on DM, but also like the other players as well. If the other players are assholes or they don't, it's like I've had too many situations where it's like that, and I'm like, no, I know we're like in a horror game, but can we like just be a little bit nice?
Well, for Quest for Balance, just to go back to that really quick,
sorry.
What types of current games that exist on the market would you want it to be most similar to? Like, would you want it to be like the Legend of Korra game from 2014? Would you, like, for me, I've always been saying that. So, like, I want a Ghost of Tsushima Avatar. I don't know if you guys have played it. Chris, have you played Ghost of Tsushima?
I haven't beat it yet, but I have. It's really good.
It's so good. I haven't played Iki Island yet. I want to play that too. Morgan, what about you? What game would you want it to be like?
I've always said sort of like kind of like Skyrim, but maybe with more sort of like fluid, like attack animations type things to better represent bending, just to get that sense of exploring the world of Avatar better. Sort of open
and
world.
We'll have each master. Oh, do you think we'll even be able to play as Piandao? That'd be kind of cool, like a non-bender level.
I'm not sure. I'm assuming the 9 characters they're talking about is like Team Avatar, Zuko.
Oh, there's
Iroh.
9 characters. Oh my god, I thought it was just the White Lotus. My bad.
Yeah, so I assume it's like Team Avatar, Iroh, Zuko, and Azula is probably the lineup. Will they do Suki or not? I'm not sure, but
got it. But yeah, Skyrim. Okay, Skyrim for me. I would love Ghost of Tsushima. Chris, what kind of game would you like?
And the choice I'm making, I think they said the animation might be like it, and that's Breath of the Wild. Love Breath of the Wild.
Oh, they did mention that. You're right. The screenshot.
Yeah. Thing about Breath of the Wild, it's like you see off into the distance something interesting. You're like, I'm gonna go there, and you just go there, and you climb a rock or something. You get there, and you discover something. That game is so weirdly intuitive. Like there's no boundaries to that game.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be that extensive. The Avatar is huge, so it'll be that one. Take a lot of.
Yeah, this is definitely like stages. They're talking about like 18 levels.
Oh, Genshin Impact. I know that's what someone mentioning in the chat. Van, I don't know if are you a gamer? Do you game?
I Nintendo, but I don't know if that fully counts because I know the whole time.
Did you say Super Nintendo?
I do still Nintendo. But I was gonna say like Pokemon.
You're not even talking about. I thought she wasn't talking about the brand Nintendo, like Switch, but no, the first Nintendo. That's what
Oh no, she's like no. I have other Nintendos.
I have the thing. Hold on. I don't
Is it
remember
Switch? Do you have Switch? Which also that needs to update.
I forgot what it's called. Yes, the Nintendo Switch. Yeah, that's the one that I got.
The one you
but like the whole time you guys were talking, I was just like, I just kind of want it to be sort of like the Pokemon game, where just like you create your own character to be an avatar. And
I would love to
create
create your own character. That would make me happy.
I would love to fight people. Like
Have
choose your own.
black
bending.
people in Avatar.
Yeah.
Well, okay, here's the thing.
Oh,
There is precedent for that. I mean, not in the traditional way that people think, like the Afro, black people.
No,
But
I found black
Polynesians
people
are
in
actually
Avatar.
black.
Well, also, so in the episode Serpent's Pass, like all those eggs, there's a little black egg. I'm like, oh, I found a
You
black
saw
person.
one in the back.
Yeah, we got it. We're there. But also
I think people don't realize
the world of
how-
Avatar.
Well,
Yeah.
Asian cultures are extremely expensive, and they go all the way even to the Americas, where they have like Aztec Mayan, type stuff with the Sun Warriors.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, there's precedent for that. Even Brady, hi. Do you guys follow Brady?
I don't
Maybe.
know.
She's
but
a
I
newer
will.
she's a newer AvaTuber. I think Brady, you only started like maybe a year ago, or something like that. Morgan, are you familiar with Brady?
No.
Oh yeah, newer. She does a lot of shorts and that sort of thing. Avatar RPG has such high potential. Love the live stream. Hey, let me come on next month. Can you come on next month? I'm gonna hit you up. Trying to get a baby lion turtle on here too.
I subscribed, Brady. I subscribed.
Yeah, but check her stuff out. Really, really, really cool. There's a lot of new like channels popping up, so I always try to keep my ear to the ground with all of that. Sorry, what was I talking about before that? Before I was freaking out about Brady.
You were ripping on me for like a Pokemon. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. About the simplicity of like a Avatar Pokemon thing. Oh, I forgot.
But then we're
Chris,
talking
you
about
said
different
something.
cultures, so the diversity within.
Right.
Asian
Because you were talking about like a black Avatar characters, where I was like, yeah, I mean, it depends on how you define black or whatever, but even.
I mean, Avatar
like,
ranges. Avatar
technically,
has
Russia
culture...
is Asia too.
Wait, is it? No, Russia's part of Europe,
Yeah.
right?
No.
It is not.
Geographically, it's Asian, but culturally, it's more people think of it more of as like a Eurasian extension, and that it's European, but it's not. It is not. In the same way that
cultures in
India is also
Avatar.
Asian too.
Yeah. Cultures in Avatar range from Asia to Northern Africa to Middle America, South America, North America. So many different. You got the Polynesian areas, like pretty much everywhere except for like Western Europe.
Yeah, 80% of Russia is Asia. Yeah, exactly.
Really,
Oh, sorry,
80% of
reading
it's
something.
Asia?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's here. I mean,
literally,
it's literally
it's
geographically, it is an Asian
Really?
country. but people don't.
It is
ever,
also
Wow.
connected
do that.
by landmass to.
Well, yeah, I knew they were
China.
connected by landmass, but
Yeah.
I just, oh.
And they have
But that's
common
why like
ancestors
the
and all that
majority is
stuff,
like
so-
on that part because it's the further side to the right, so it's closer in like size and connection to Asia than it is Europe.
Oh, we should bring this up because someone did bring it up, and we're kind of like already on the topic. So the announcement, that obviously Dante is back as Zuko in the adult gang movie, but no one else is. As of what we know right now, we don't know for facts, but as of right now, no. And I don't know what people's thoughts are. If you want to talk about that or not, or...
I have good thoughts,
'Cause
which
I have
is
opinions on
currently rare. Don't look at the post or the comments, people. The comments are not good. But I don't really have an issue with it at all. Like, I don't get why people do have an issue with it. I think, like, firstly, the actor for Aang, as far as I'm aware, basically has not acted since.
Yeah,
Avatar.
that part I was like, guys, don't like he doesn't act anymore. Like, what are you
Yeah.
talking about?
Then the actor for Soccer, I'm so sorry, I can't remember his name. He's
Jack
hooked
Sinner.
in with Dragon Prince.
Jack
For another
Sinner,
three,
yeah.
for another 3 seasons, he's stuck with Dragon Prince. But also, his voice has not changed at all. So for Soccer, so if we're going for like 20s,
A young
age
adult
Sokka or
version,
late
right, yeah.
20s, like because it's the older characters. If his voice still sounds like 16-year-old Soccer, it's not gonna work. Like, you're not gonna be thinking this is an adult Soccer, really. Appearance wise, it won't really make a difference if he sounds the exact same. I know, like in the case of Zuko, that'll probably be a similar issue, but Dante is, obviously can change his voice a little bit, but also he was the older member of the cast in terms of character as well as just him in general, so I think there's more like
Does Callum
ability for that.
But Callum's kind of older, isn't he? That's the character's name in Dragon Prince, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He sounds a lot like Sokka.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
I
he
just
has-
hear
he
Sokka
uses-
whenever I watch that show. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
that's
he
just
kind of basically uses the same the same voice, because I think it's just his normal voice is
that's natural voice, right?
Yeah. Voice. Yeah. And I think Callum in the show is like in his teens as well. But I may be wrong. But then the same with Mae Whitman. She's doing a lot of incredible stuff at the moment, so could be a possibility of like no time.
Though
but
I
also
think she
her
did make
voice
a comment
doesn't
saying,
change.
no, I would be down to do it again. I think, if I'm not mistaken, she made a comment saying like, no, I'd be okay with doing it.
That may be Gray. I think that was the voice.
Oh no, maybe somebody else. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're completely right about that.
But she basically said she would support whoever was in. Oh no, I don't think she actually said she wanted to come back. I think she said she would support whoever came in, but they will be banished, to make a Nazula joke. Which then people took as her saying "screw them."
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
People
Azula probably going to
misconstrued.
be in that. Oh, I see what you're saying. Azula might be in the gang movie, right?
Yeah, there's the possibility. Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see how that goes. But for the reason why they are recasting does make sense to me. Like, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, but voice acting, you don't have to have the same ethnicity." And I'm just
that is my pushback, which I'll say.
Yeah. No. I know we've had the conversation before, and like I totally get where you come from when you talk about that as well. But like for me as well, just with how little representation there is in voice acting, like there isn't that large people who are Asian who are casted for voice acting. You just need to look at Avatar in general. The majority of the voice acting cast are white, with a few people who are Asian or indigenous speckled here and there.
And then you get
and that was a
little sprinkle of Serena Williams in book 3.
Yeah. But like
in the core.
Yeah. And,
who's she playing Korra?
Fire Sage, who rescued
who restored Korra's. Oh, I didn't know that. Wait, I gotta rewatch that.
Yeah,
episode.
the Bonte tribe person.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I had no idea. They should get her back too. Okay, so that's the very thing right there, right? Because one can even say that about like a Serena, or like, because I feel like two minds of this, right? Because I do totally agree, Fran, that it needs to be rectified, and that's a lot about what all of this stuff goes with, like racial, systematic racism and things like that. Is that you need to correct it first. But for me, like the thing that we should have just in the future, when we get past like this weird moment in time, anybody should be able to voice anybody. One of my favorite characters, Ashley Williams from Mass Effect series, voiced by a black woman, white woman facing, James Earl Jones, Darth Vader, black man playing a white gentleman. Because if we do this and we keep that same sort of mentality going forward, I feel like you can open it up the gates for that kind of thing. Well, all right, well, hey, those sorts of actors shouldn't be voicing that either. If we're trying to always match the racial background to and I think for me the best thing, obviously, is to not have race in it. But the issue with it is that so few minorities get those opportunities to begin with. That needs to be corrected first. Though I feel like the actual end goal should be raceless casting for vocal work in particular. Now, when it comes to live action, I think you have to actually do it correctly, and when the way Netflix is doing it currently. I mean, it's a big thing that I was talking about even when M. Night's stuff was coming out. I was like, what are we doing here? But for voice, it's a little bit different. I feel like that needs to be open because of the reverse that can happen. Where you don't give opportunities to people who are talented, who like you don't get Darth Vader, you don't get you can't have Serena, voicing, a light-skinned Asian woman, on a show. Like I would rather it all be open.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. I think the whole thing is like we're nowhere near on the equal scale of minorities in voice acting, which is why I'm kind of like, I get why they're doing this. These are the characters who are the face. These are the ones who will be going to Comic-Con. So for a show that is, in this case, Asian and Indigenous orientated in its world building, the way in which I can think about it, like people who will go to these conventions thinking about this being a world that kind of like represents their cultures, which is so rare in media still, unfortunately, still kind of being in a very white space, I can kind of get like the complications with that. But like I feel the need to point out to some people as well, just like this initial call for just Asian Indigenous actors is just the first call. There will be second calls. There is never just one call for casting. If they don't find people in the first call, they will have a second one. So
But then that
Just
also
because
becomes the issue too, because that was the
first-
old argument too, right? It's like, oh, we can't find anybody. It's like, no, you can if you look for it, you can totally find
Yeah,
it.
if they look for it as
talent,
well. And
right?
yeah, that definitely is a problem. But I think their reasonings make sense, and it's probably for them trying to make up for the fact that more than half of the original cast for an Asian and indigenous inspired
Only Iroh
world
and
were white.
Zuko, I think, were played by
Aro, Zuko.
The original voice actor.
yeah, the original.
A lot of different other roles.
Right.
Dang it, why can't I think of his name? Daniel Cam is in there, of course. And there's a lot of different other ones. But with the way, it's not a surprise to me. I fully welcome it. Like in interviews, and I hear from Mike and Brian, they talk about like, yeah, people say like, we've done a good job in representation and everything. And then even Mike Brian's like, I feel like we've done okay at times. Like we could have been better at certain things. And I'm sure for them, this is one of the things that they could have been better at. I think absolutely. Certain roles you have to bring a voice and a certain experience to. Like I would never want a white person to voice a young black kid growing up in America. Like they don't know that voice. They don't have that experience.
And yeah, that's context, right? Because I agree with that sentiment as well. If you have like an animated
fantasy
Miles Morales thing, yeah.
Yeah, that would be crazy. Have a white guy voicing a half Hispanic, half black guy. But I think it's one of those things that they, improve on. I'm glad that Dante's back. Dante's great. He has such a great voice for Zuko, and he'll bring a lot of weight to the role. I'm not surprised at all that they brought in more people, and I welcome it. I can't wait to see who they bring in. And these people are going to have this opportunity that they have now that they didn't have before. So I'm sure they'll bring back other actors from Avatar who are Asian or Native American descent. Yeah, from the original.
Yeah,
and also the voice changing thing too. Like, well, obviously Aang's guy. He's done. He doesn't act. Period. Like, there's no argument there. Like, they're good. They had to recast that either way. Katara would sound different, I would think, right? Like, well, last time we saw her, she was 14.
Yeah, 14. Yeah.
14,
yeah,
right?
14.
14, yeah,
so, yeah.
They're gonna be 20s. That's gonna be different. Toph, I feel like could still probably sound somewhat similar as an adult.
It would be depending. The whole thing is it kind of depends on what age they end up being. If it's early 20s, mid 20s, or late 20s.
I think
very big difference.
I think Michaela Murphy might have voiced her in the flashbacks in Korra. I know she voiced Suyin in the flashback, but she was like a kid.
Yeah,
Michaela Murphy's the voice of Toph.
I don't think she did Toph's.
You might be right.
In the background, flashback for when they were 30, or 40. How old were they when they were doing that in book one? When they have the cartoon situation. I think they were like.
Yeah, I think Aang is like exactly 40. I think in that flashback.
Oh, 40.
Oh, and the Yakun stuff. Oh, yeah.
That's right. He did say his age. Yeah.
Adult.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if he said 30 or 40. So that would make Toph at that point 38. So, yeah, I can't remember who voiced that person there, but yeah, obviously that doesn't fully work because that's a decade and a bit older. But yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how it goes. But I think like it's going to be interesting to see who they get in. It's going to be interesting to see how their voices sound. I think it's just going to be a really interesting opportunity for like possibly new voice actors, for people to have new opportunities in general, and also kind of maybe have some of the cast kind of like. I don't know if it's summer. I'm not meaning this to sound kind of like mean, but for them to kind of be able to kind of step away from those roles a little bit instead of just being fully recognized as that character and have that ability to kind of branch out a little bit more, maybe instead of kind of like Dante. And like he's had an incredibly long, huge, amazing career that he can pick whatever he wants to do, go back to stuff he wants to do because he's had this long career. But the others, even when they were doing Avatar, were still like in the earlier stages of their career. And like it's like that whole thing with like Harry Potter actors, they want to get away from Harry Potter usually as much as possible and like redefine their career. So like I think even if they kind of were given the opportunity, I don't know if the others would have taken it for like Katara and Sokka, because like Sokka's actor, he has his own show now where he is the lead character.
The main.
I don't think he'd want to give that up. And Mae Whitman, I mean, she's a main character in basically anything she does. I mean, I don't know if she'd want to go back to again being sort of a secondary lead when she's a lead in lots of other stuff. I don't know. There's possibilities, but I'm intrigued to see who they bring in.
Yeah, it's also worth noting that Mike and Brian has brought on like a Native American consultant to go over things. So I do think I feel like they'll dive more. And one thing that frustrates me sometimes about not Avatar fans, some Avatar fans, it's like, oh, this is Asian American, no, this is Asian inspired. I'm like, there's more than just Asian culture in it. Like maybe because I'm from Oklahoma, I'm like, there's a bunch of Native American stuff in here also. And I feel like they might dive in even more deeper.
That's what I was saying before with the Mayan and Aztec stuff, is that they're playing to like the Pan-Asian mentality of it, because that is technically, they have common ancestors, the indigenous Americans and East Asians and that sort of a thing, which people don't realize like a lot of the time. It's like, yeah, they have common ancestry.
Yeah, but I think they'll dive more into, I think, maybe some real life cultures and stuff from North America, which maybe that's why they brought on that consultant.
Oh, and what you mean in the new series for like Aang's movie?
No, not yeah, sure, Aang's movie, and that anything Avatar Studios is doing, if it has to do with like, the water tribe. I feel like they'll bring in, yeah.
Which is good. That's always a good thing, because I feel like when it was first done, it was just kind of like, oh yeah, this is a cool show, put it together. But it wasn't really like, that kind of stuff wasn't. So at that time, what was this, late 2000s? So yeah, no one was thinking about that sort of stuff. And it's good that is there, even with a lot of the Kyoshi books, even the Yang Chin book. There's a lot of that. It goes way deeper, as I think, especially because FCE puts so much of it in there, like the little cultural tidbits that are in there.
Yeah.
Are any of you guys mad that they're not doing, not adapting those novels?
Oh, not directly. A little bit, but also not.
I'm one of those not people. Just because I want more people to actually know about the books. No one knows about the books. More people need to know about them.
They really
I did a Kansas City Comic Con. I did an Avatar trivia, which is amazing. It was like 100 people there. We filled this whole room up, and I had like 3 questions from the Kyoshi novels, and people are like, Kyoshi novels. Like, no one read this. I'm like, read the Kyoshi novels, people. Read them.
Someone did it recently. One of my subscribers recently said, hey, you've been saying this for like 3 years to read the books. I finally did it, and it wasn't just good. It was great. I was like, I've been saying this. I've been saying it.
Literally. Like, in my head, I'm just
the
like,
best Avatar story.
Yes, literally. But also, I'm just the whole time, like, when people say, oh, I want it to be adapted, and I'm just like, no one deserves them to be adapted until it's been at least a good many more years and more people have read them, because you don't deserve it if you haven't read it.
No, I want it to be adapted. I want to see Kyoshi suck the life out of someone and drop them 20 stories to the ground, lifeless.
Or her blood freezing technique that she learned, that was like pretty neat. Yeah. Just seeing even seeing the fight between Kelsang and Jinzu.
Yes. Holy crap. He threaded like a toothpick size.
Yep, a toothpick right to the neck. Like, bro, give it to me. It doesn't be like actually, it could be like an animated thing. Like, it'd be a mini series. Like, I don't care. It'd be awesome.
Yeah. Either or, I'm happy with either or. I do know that there is, I don't know if they've actually fully confirmed it, but I believe this fan, they're called J&J Studios here on YouTube. And I believe they've mentioned at some point that they would love to like do a fan short film of a scene from the Kyoshi novels. And I'm just like, I want that scene. Say again?
You said a fan film? Someone's doing a fan film of a...
Yeah. So J&J Studios, they have like insanely high quality stuff. Like, it looks like it could have been Hollywood made. So like, I think they mentioned that they were looking into possibly doing a scene from one of the Kyoshi books. And I was like, I know exactly what scene. In fact, I know two.
How are you on adaptations or non-adaptations of the Kyoshi books or the Yang book?
I don't think they need to do adaptations. I'd prefer they do new content. That's always my kind of perspective on things. That's why the live action being an adaptation doesn't really interest me. yeah, just do new content. Like I get it to some extent, like say like the ATLA movie, they'll probably have to do like some sort of an explanation scene to catch people up on like
in betweener.
Hey, like Zuko has another sister now. Key is here. You know,
that's
explain
right.
some of those
She just
little
shows up out of
details. But beyond that, I think no, like you don't need to do adaptations.
That's actually
All right, real
I
quick,
didn't think about the adult movie. I didn't think of that. We'll start wrapping up. But like, let's do Q&A or something like that. But go ahead.
I was
Chris.
just going to
Real
say
quick,
the Mr. Pete channel. They did find a tall actress. She's 6'3", I believe. The actress for Kyoshi.
Wait, but Yvonne? Oh, you mean for the fan film? I thought you meant for Yvonne.
Yeah.
I was like, I think Yvonne was regular size.
Yeah, live
No, I
action.
think
Yeah,
she's
you
like-
like. Yeah, she's like.
6 foot.
I don't know how
She's
tall she
quite
is,
tall.
but she's
I
6
believe
foot.
she's.
I don't know. I think I looked at her height.
Wait, Yvonne
She might
Chapman?
be like 5.
Tall? I thought she was like 5.
I'm pretty sure she's 6 foot.
I think I bet she's 5'8" at most.
I swear somewhere. So some places are saying 5'8",
I don't
and
see
then
height.
some
I
other
see your
places
age.
are
She's
saying
34.
6.
Oh wow, she's my age.
Oh, she's my age. Oh, we're the same age.
I'm about to be. Wait, no.
Someone said she
I'm about to
was
be 33.
6
I'm
foot,
sorry.
so now I'm really confused.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no one's 7 feet, Pete.
Well, no, I
Yeah,
think
no,
I would
you're
like
not
her to
gonna
be
get a
like just
7
6'2".
Oh yeah, you're right. Oh my God, Chris, you're right. 5 feet 8 inches. You got it
Yeah,
exactly.
my
You
bad.
said it
Someone
straight up.
said somewhere she was 6
Which is a
foot, so
tall.
I was
That
very
is tall for a
confused.
woman. So
Yeah.
put her on an apple.
But
box.
it's not Kyoshi tall. Kyoshi's
Yeah,
tall
not
where like people are like where she was confused to be way older than the other kids, which is why people overlooked her as possibly being the avatar.
Did you know that at age 10, Shaquille O'Neal was 6 foot 4 inches? Can you imagine a 10-year-old being 6 foot 4? That's the Kyoshi. That's like Kyoshi. That's like a 10-year-old 6 foot. What?
My God.
That's insane. That's insane. All right, we got our first question here. What animal guide would you guys want to see for the next Avatar? Ooh, that's actually a good question.
That's a good
Either
question.
an existing creature or a hybrid you think would be cool.
Oh.
You know what animal I think is
companion
highly underrated is the illhound. Illhound, fastest on land and water. Love that animal.
That is true.
Man, the saber-tooth
Sheer
moose
shoe.
line is
That's
good
my
too.
answer. Sheer shoe. That's my answer.
I was trying to look up Avatar animals, but it gave me the blue people. I don't care about the blue people.
Oh
Surely
yeah,
they're
which they have
actual
creatures in that too.
Yeah.
Morgan, while she's looking, do you have a animal companion you think you would like to see?
For next Avatar, so Earth Avatar, I guess Badger Mole, always a cool animal.
Badger. Oh, for Earth too. Oh, of course you would make the right decision. I feel like that.
It'd be interesting to see that like on a day-to-day basis. Like, does it need to stay underground most of the time?
Right.
How is it?
I just like
cool
to come out
storyline
in
for
the
the
day.
characters, but they're like secluded all the time. Like, you know what? Forget you, mom, and then takes their Badger Mole like down into Earth and runs away.
All right, real quick, I have to go be a father to 3 kids and a husband who's
Aw.
been lacking on his duties. I'm sure my wife is like, you told me an hour. And I'm like, all right.
all right. I'm not-
Very nice talking with you all. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no
And
problem.
I'm going.
Be well.
Bye.
Be water.
I was gonna go with turtle duck. I want them to have a
Turtle duck?
because that's
Okay,
an
that's
Earth
pretty
Kingdom. Yeah, just because I don't want them to have a big animal. I want their animal guide to be like something you can carry in your pocket.
Just
I think that'd be bloody cute.
Have a pabu.
Yeah, like a Pablo size. Yeah,
Yeah.
but just imagine the turtle ducks walking around with a turtle duck on their shoulder in their pocket. I mean, how cute would that be?
That would actually be pretty cute. In the movie, do
Yeah.
you think we'll see Katara bring up about the idea of banning bloodbending and see how she went about making it illegal?
That
It
would
could be a
cool.
possible storyline.
Yeah,
I don't know if it'll be
I
like the
could
main
see it.
storyline.
Mm.
Only because Bryce is always like, we don't want to do the same thing, and they kind of did that with their flashback with the Yakon stuff. I don't know if they necessarily will dive into blood. Maybe they'll have they'll have like Yakon in like the background or something, because this is a younger version of them, right? So Yakon didn't get arrested until 20 years after this movie, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
thereabouts.
20, 15 years, yeah, something like that. Yeah.
But he could have been coming up. Well, actually, what's his storyline? Was he always in Republic City? And he wasn't banished until after, right?
They can
Well, yeah,
never
well,
get
he's
into
from
it.
the Northern Water Tribe, but like, yeah, he
Right.
was a Republic City crime boss. Yeah, so theoretically would be in, I guess, Republic City at this point.
So I guess I could just say like, oh yeah, that's Yakun, oh that Joker, or something. Like you could do something like that, I guess. But I know a lot of people don't like when shows do that. Like Star Wars was doing that for like the first 3 years. The Star Wars came back and they were just like, Easter egg, Easter egg, Easter egg everywhere. Like, do you guys remember? But it's possible. I don't think it might be a main storyline, but it could be like touched upon like a little bit or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
okay.
Unless you tackle it really directly, I don't think there's much to do there.
Right. Until it actually happens when, the outcomes of happens.
Yeah.
We have Zuko alone, Korra alone, and now Suki alone. Which ATLA and Legend of Korra character do you want to see to get the same treatment from Avatar Studios?
Asami. But Asami when she's younger. In the
Asami
aftermath
alone.
of the death of her mother. The death of her mother and the
Ooh,
reclusion of her father. So like childhood trauma is basically what I'm going for here. The childhood trauma of the mother dying and possibly the father falling into depression and then into his silent anger that leads to him becoming the way that he is, and how she's dealing with all of this going on around her. I think it'd be interesting to get more of Asami's backstory, but also seeing like the impact of grief, like in that like really intense way from a young child's perspective of losing a parent and technically emotionally losing another parent to grief. I just think it'd be really interesting to see that explored.
Yeah, I'd probably go for Asami. She's probably, I think, the core character who needs the development the
That
most.
needs it for sure, yeah.
Otherwise, I'd say Mako, and hopefully the Mako comic coming out next year is something like that. So, I don't think he's been treated particularly well by like recent content. So hopefully they can get him back on track and in a better spot.
And same piggybacking off of that, Azula. We're basically leaving Azula alone in the Spirit Temple next year as well. So that's the thing. That'd be kind of cute. I'm looking for another one. No, that's not really related. I'm not really seeing like related questions. All right, cool. No, I'll wrap it up right there then. All right, cool. So that is it for this state of Avatar Legends, Avatar Studios. Biggest things happening next year? Not really. It's really just Netflix is the biggest thing that's happening next year, and then the comic books and the next Yang-Chen book, and hopefully Quest for Balance. I really hope Quest for Balance is really good because I agree with you, Morgan. I really want a freaking not just another game, but like a good game, and not even like it doesn't have to be like the best game in like the entire, just like a solid game. I just want a really solid Avatar game to play.
Also, Avatar Generations as well.
Oh yeah, Generation, but that's like it's like more of like a mobile game kind of a thing.
But it will have new story content involving Kyoshi, Roku, other avatars.
I did not know this.
It might not be directly next year, but they're saying in the future the game is going to have that.
Oh,
stuff.
they're going to expand on it and stuff like that. Okay. What about you, friend? What are you looking forward to most next year?
To see how the Netflix Avatar show turns out, but also to play the Avatar Legends tabletop RPG with someone. I need to find a team. I want to live stream it. I want to play it with someone. I want to convince. I'm probably going to bully you, Antoine, into doing it with you at some point. Probably you as well, Morgan. I'll probably just like bully a bunch of people.
I know Callan. Callan likes D&D a lot. I know he.
Oh yeah. I'll either try to attempt to DM because I've done it once before. It was not the best, but I could try. Or like you just. Basically, chaos is the point of tabletop RPG, so we'll see how that goes. But then also the Yang-Chen novel, Netflix tabletop.
It hurts my soul that I just was not into the. I still have not even done my review for it because I was so, and not even because I didn't like it. I just was extremely neutral to it. Like I felt numb, which is like not what I expected at all. The first one, yeah. Like I was, it hurts me that I was just because of how much I like the Kyoshi books that I was like. Yeah,
I can kind of see because it's a very different vibe. Like it's more political. I feel.
Yeah. Oh God. Yes. If you are into political thrillers, like the Yang-Chen book is for you. It is for you.
Like this is the whole thing. I liked it because I liked like things like Jade Wars and the Poppy Wars and stuff like that. I really I like those novels that do have like these political backgrounds and like front and center stuff. So I did enjoy it, but everyone has different tastes.
Yeah, that's always what's gonna happen. Especially when you have more and more Avatar things, you're gonna have those divisions always.
Yeah, I'm intrigued as to who the next Avatar is gonna be.
That they're gonna cover in the Avatar Chronicles.
Yeah, for the books. Yeah. And if they're going to bring in a different
I want
author.
somebody entirely new. I don't someone who hasn't been named yet or something.
Yeah, someone new. But if they do someone entirely new, like not named, I would want them to bring in a different author. No, like not saying.
Oh,
yes
I agree. I 1,000% agree. 1,000% agree.
I feel
Just
like authors should only have 2 avatars each. They should each get their own 2 avatars, and then they bring a different author to do the next 2. Because I think it gives it more versatility and variety.
Yeah, agreed. Well, let's do our goodbyes. Goodbye to Lauren. Thank you for joining us today, Decrepit Storm. Thank you for being with us. Oh, by the way, you guys can find Fran and Morgan Airspeed Prime. They're in the description box below if you want to check them out below. Hello, people from the future reading the chat. Oh, hello, Merlin, but also goodbye, Merlin. Thank you for joining us today. I think we had like 90 or 100 people max at the end. Jenna, I haven't seen you in a bit. What's up, Jenna? Bye, Missing. Goodbye, Mr. Pete channel. Goodbye. Again, you can find Fran and Airspeed Prime description box below. Go ahead and check them out. Especially Morgan. Morgan has like literally all the inside scoops on literally everything. Like literally.
And I
everything.
have not.
But you have very good commentary.
If you want Percy Jackson scoops, though.
Oh yeah, Percy Jackson. Oh yeah, if you're into Percy Jackson in particular. Also, Morgan doesn't just do Avatar, by the way. You also do Star Wars. You do I think you also do Dragon Prince, right? You've been covering Dragon Prince?
Yeah, Dragon Prince, Boruto / Naruto, and other little things. Mainly Avatar, though.
Mainly Avatar. Yeah, I used to be variety, but now I'm like, I need to simplify my life. So I was like, you know what? Let me like just do one thing now instead of all the things. But yes, go ahead and find them. Thank you guys for joining us today. Good night, everyone. Have a beautiful day,
Bye.
night, holiday.
Bye.
All right, we still have holidays, so yeah. See you. Bye.
See you in the new year.
See you in the new year. Good night.
Bye.
Thanks for joining me, guys. Bye.